We're going to drain the swamp of corruption.
Drain the swamp. And that's what we're doing.
We are going to Washington, D.C., and we are going to drain the swamp.
Ms. Harvey Barnard from the Nesara organization. Nesara stands for National Economic Stabilization and Recovery Act. It's a package that Harvey has put together, and he joins us in studio today.
I'm a systems troubleshooter. I take a look at a system for my clients and decide what's wrong, what's the problem. And we've got some real problems in this country. This time next year, we're looking at a $6 trillion debt. Nesara is the only bill out there that says we get rid of $1 trillion worth of debt up front.
Drain the swamp. And that's what we're doing.
Hi, I'm DIONESE Gerrbrecht, D for short. As you may know, my father was Harvey Francis Barnard, author of the National Economic Stabilization and Recovery Act. We can clear up a misconception right there. It is stabilization.
Good evening and welcome to the Real Nesara Show. I'm DIONESE Gerrbrecht, and I'm glad to be here. I'm glad y'all are here this evening. Hope you're doing well, and always glad to be with FCB and his team. So how are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. Wasn't it a great show last night, darling?
Yeah, I had fun last night. I was like impromptu, just jump on and go with it. So I really enjoyed that. Thank you so much for having me on.
No, and that's just we've got a lot more to divulge, obviously, as we progress.
Yeah.
And, I'm always looking forward to the new things that you bring on the table with regards to the real Nesara love.
That's right. That's right. So tonight we're going to be looking at some banking troubles, as I like to call them, and we'll get into that. Again, welcome everybody here, and I always like to start off by telling a little bit about who we are and why we're here and what we're doing. Again, I'm DIONESE Gerrbrecht, and my father was Harvey Francis Barnard. He wrote the original National Economic Stabilization and Recovery Act. It was his life's work. He brought his original bill up to Washington. In fact, on the opening, you'll see a picture of him and his a friend there that they took it up to Washington in late 80s, early 90s. Walked it around, knocked on doors, got very little reaction other than, oh yeah, thank you very much, sir. We'll take it under advisement. The bill is a complete overhaul of our monetary and fiscal policy here in America. And it upset some apple carts, so they weren't going to give it too much press. But he was determined, and my father was a systems troubleshooter. And what that means is he analyzed systems, and he would go in and figure out what parts were broken and what needed to be fixed. And that's how he designed this bill. He wasn't an economist or anything like that, but he was a constitutionalist and a historian, and he loved this country. And he said, we can do better than this. So he kept at it. In 1996, he released the bill into the public domain, which I believe you got a copy of that from one of the old archive websites.
Yes, I do.
And
the first or the second one?
Well, one of them is an article that was done by a discussion group, and the other one is the actual bill. And so he, like I said, he kept at it. And in 2005, he wrote this book, Draining the Swamp, The Nesara Story. And this has a copy of the bill and all of his research. And for those of you who've read it, you know how in-depth it is. And we've on the channel here, we've been doing a book study on it. But the thing about my dad, I'll tell quickly a little bit about my story. I didn't jump back into this game until years after his death. He died in 2005 when he published this book. And I had never read it until I found out what a global firestorm this thing had become, and it wasn't even the real Nesara. And people asked me, well, all that time you hadn't read his book. And I said, well, probably because I knew my father. He was incredibly intelligent. And I assume, like everyone else, well, economics, that's just way over my head. I won't understand that. And I'll just, let somebody else handle it. But my father was also a teacher. He taught systems theory, and he had this wonderful knack of meeting you where you are. So as he wrote this book, he told it in a way that anybody can understand. So like since that time, I was able to get the book out and paperback, and it's available at on Amazon. I'll show you real quick here how you can get it. All right. This is our website here. It's the NesaraInstitute.com. It's got a lot of great information about Harvey. Of course, it's got the links to purchase the book. We have it in paperback and in a Kindle form. All, just like I said, all good information about his life and his mission. There is also, if you scroll down here, this is one of the best parts. This is an interview he did with a radio station a few years before he passed away. And he actually talks about HR 25 in this interview. So that's how long that bill's been sitting up there. Don't think anybody's in too much of a hurry to get that one done. In our blog section, we have information, facts versus myths, and a closer look at actually what the bill calls for. There's a list of individual proposals there in the social media flyer. And we also have, you can support us by shop Nesara swag, and we have a few little things there, and that, just helps us pay the bills. So appreciate y'all joining us, and I hope that you're able to get the book. The book's on sale right now. As a matter of fact, FC, I've got it marked down 10% for the holidays.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
A lot of love in the room, darling. A lot of in the chat.
Good.
Everyone's saying, we're happy to see you, D and FCB, and you've got a lot of love and greetings. There you go.
Good. I'm so glad to be here, and I'm always so glad to see our viewers. They're always so warm and welcoming. So, yeah.
They certainly, and look, when I look at Harvey, his background, it all makes the world of sense. He uses logic.
He did.
And logic is really, if you want to think about it, that is true freedom.
It is. He's critical
that makes
thinking.
a world of sense to me.
He did. One of his professors had said the same critical thinking methods we use to solve any problem in any system, can be used to solve any problem in any system. And that got him to thinking. And that's kind of what started him on his mission about our monetary and fiscal policy. And everything that he says in this book has come to pass, it has led to the problems that we have today. If back then in the 90s, he had been taken seriously, and I think he was taken seriously. They just did not want to. They didn't want to give up their leverage and their power and their money, et cetera, et cetera. So we go down that rabbit hole all the time. But had that been given serious consideration and put into practice, we would not be in this situation we are now. There's no way. And I think that he would not believe that we've allowed it to get this bad as a nation. So.
Well, you think about this, Dee. As you know, America, okay, so you got Federal Reserve, that's where the head office is, right? We know that's over there.
Right.
IRS is like the head office is over in Puerto Rico, right? That's where they are.
Right.
Now, all the different names and different manifestations are worldwide, but they all answer to there. Everything comes from there. Right. So even the CDC, all the policies, everything, it all goes across the world. Right.
Yeah.
So that's why when I say, with Q, why I bring Q in, because Q, obviously, if America falls, so does the rest of the world. Now, you can take that two ways. You got your Second Amendment. Okay. If you lost that, game over for all of us. Right.
Right.
But also when the debauchery, when all the exposure and everything that happens over there, it translates to the whole world after that. So if America falls, say all the things that come out, so does the rest of the world. So you can see the duality. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And America has always been, setting the precedent for freedom and democracy, what is supposed to be democracy, and for a republic form of government. Um, and that's gotten way skewed.
Yes.
But you're right about the Second Amendment. We are, what they call us the greatest private militia.
But that's right. That's
and
correct.
people misconstrue that, not to get off topic too much, but people misconstrue that. It's not always about arms. It is about, we have the right to complain and protest and demand a fair form of government. Okay. And Harvey said, okay, he was not a proponent of violence or anything like that. He believed the way to fix it was through the established system, not the corrupt system we have today, which pretend to go by the same mechanics. You know what I mean? But by the constitutional system and actually bring about real change for the people.
Well,
they're supposed to work for us, not the lobbyists.
If you look at how, when President Trump is, obviously changing the education system. Now think about this. Why did he get rid of the education department, right? Because they were setting the curriculum, you know what a curriculum is, for the rest of the states to follow. In other words, the program. They were programming. Now, part of that program was not included in the Constitution. They didn't want the students or the new generation to know about the Constitution. They didn't want to know about what their Second Amendment means, their First Amendment, all that. They didn't teach them about that. And then about the Second Amendment. How are you going to able to enact that in that situation? It's not about going getting your guns and shooting up. It doesn't work that way. It's got to be done in the proper way according to the Constitution. And only a constitutional lawyer knows all this. And they know how to do it. It's never been done before. That's the thing.
No, it hasn't.
But the thing is, it hasn't been taught in schools either.
No, they don't teach civics anymore.
Yes.
I guess I graduated. Oh,
no life skills. They don't teach them life skills.
They don't do any of that kind of stuff anymore. And it's all about, in fact, the SATs and the ACTs, their scores are terrible, but they've gotten away from core education. And that's why you see some of these other countries just excelling, in their population as far as their ability to do math, science, reading, stuff.
Well, look at this. For example, they're too busy confusing our children's sexuality.
They're doing a lot of things, yes.
Doing those, that's one aspect of it, but that's a major aspect. And I've seen it here.
Yeah.
Right? I can tell you right now, Dee, I pulled out my daughter out of school because of that. Right?
Yeah.
Because they were doing all that LGBTQI plus business, right? Now, rather than teaching her life skills, rather than teaching her real things, they were teaching that sort of stuff, right? And as parents, we have our duty to do, right? Which I didn't hesitate to do it, right? Because at the end of the day, our children are our future.
They are. And, they don't even teach money anymore. You can't find someone who can actually make change. Those
they don't teach you how to calculate anything.
Right.
They just rely on the iPad and everything to do it for
their
them.
phone. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the education system has gotten bad, and that's just one of many things that has fallen off in our country. And a lot of it stems from the system and from, again, our monetary and fiscal policy is the core of how things work. Okay. What I want to share with our viewers tonight is some banking issues. Now, I don't want to scare anyone. So what I'm going to be sharing with you guys is what I call banking troubles. But these
do we need to put a trigger alert?
Yeah, well, you might. But I want to be very clear. Okay? Yeah. I'm going to show you some of the inner workings of banking, and these things have been around for decades. Okay. Are they disturbing? Yes, they are. But again, they've been going on for decades. And the reason that I want to demonstrate these things is so that you can't fix a system if you don't know how the system works to begin with. Okay. If you don't know the basic mechanics of how things operate, you can't say, oh, well, we need to fix this, that, and the other. And the hope is that, when Harvey wrote the bill, okay, it's a proposal. And for people who understand how this works in Congress, a bill gets introduced on the floor. Okay. Then it goes back to committee and they argue and they talk about it and they say, okay, I want this and you want that. I don't like this. I don't like that. They come out there, and when they think they have enough votes for it, they'll pass it on to the House, to the Senate. Okay. And then they do the same thing. They go back and forth, and it'll bounce back and forth until everybody's satisfied. As the people of the nation, if we don't understand what they're arguing about, we're left to their devices. Okay. So we have to understand how the system works and to be able to say, you know what? No, that's not okay. Like a few shows ago, we analyzed the Fed bills and the tax bills. So if y'all missed that, go back and look, and you can see it was the apples to apples section, I believe, that we did. Also, we lined them up to Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill, and you can see how, we always laugh about the name, Draining the Swamp, but it's pretty evident that he's read this. So, but anyway,
for sure, because look, he does. Obviously, we've spoken about his background, real estate, so he's into property development, but also into economics. Okay, you've got to look into his background in business and all that. So, and that's out there. You know what I mean, Dee? That's been out there for a long time now.
It has.
So you're telling me that the president of the United States wouldn't have a copy of that book?
Oh, I know he does.
No,
I've sent
he
him
does.
two. I've sent him two since I've been since I kind of got back in the mix here, and got acknowledgments from him both times. Very gracious, and so. But like I said, a lot of Harvey's philosophies line up with the things that President Trump is doing for our country. So it's very encouraging. Anyway,
It certainly is.
Yeah, you want to talk about some banking stuff?
Yeah, sure. I just want to say Monterey, she's right on the money. Monterey 69, if you're a she or he, sorry.
Okay.
They teach you to rely on the system, correct?
Yeah.
That's why they dumb people down gemstone. I totally agree.
Yeah. It's done by design too.
Yes.
For control. And I know you delve into a lot of that on your regular show, and
yes,
on the Pulse. And and it's done by design. And it's unfortunate. And so that's kind of one of the things we want to try to turn around. So, but I'm going to talk to you today about 3 parts of banking. Okay. The first one is commercial real estate loans. Now, these are the loans that are given for commercial properties, commercial buildings, office buildings, storefront, stuff like that. Also, we're going to talk about unrealized losses. An unrealized loss is a loss on paper, meaning the value of the asset has fallen, but the bank has not yet sold it. And that's very interesting, and how that affects our system. And derivatives. Now, a lot of people don't know what derivatives are. I really didn't until I started digging into this stuff. A derivative is a financial contract whose value is derived from something else. As we get into this, you're going to find out derivatives are basically bets. It's interesting. So I thought what I would do is I would play a little video first for each segment. We have 3 segments, and I'll play a little video, and then I'll come back and explain it. Does that work for you?
Let's go for it.
Okay, so let me see. I'm not used to doing the video, so I'm going to try.
Oh, look, you're doing well.
Okay, we're going to give this a roll. Let's see. So here's the first one, and this one's going to have to do with the commercial real estate.
Commercial loan comes due in a down market. The loan matures and the bank calls the loan due. The owner must refinance, but the building is now half empty. The value has crashed, and property that was worth $100 million in 2019 is now worth $50, $60 million. The bank requires 60-70% LTV, so the numbers no longer match. The owner's cash flow has collapsed because rents are down as tenants leave. The old loan at 3 to 4% has given way to new loan at 7 to 9%. Payments jump so high the building can't support them. When the owner tries to refinance, the bank says, bring 10 to 30 million in cash to close the gap. The owner can't, so he walks away. This leaves the bank holding the hot potato. If the bank forecloses, it must recognize the building's true value at a huge loss, so it delays, extend, and pretend. The bank's balance sheets get weaker, comprised of zombie loans and overstated assets. This creates a slow-motion crisis. This happens across thousands of loans from 2024 to 2027, a rolling commercial real estate crunch. This is widely cited across MBA, TREP, CBRE, Moody's Analytics, Federal Reserve commentary. Why is this important? Banks today are carrying thousands of commercial real estate CRE loans on their books at 2018 to 2019 valuations, even though those buildings are now worth 30-60% less. This means the bank's balance sheet is overstated, its capital cushion is weaker than it appears, its true solvency is unknown. This is exactly what happened in the savings and loan crisis, 1980s, 1991. Will the crisis collapse the entire US banking system? No, but it will reshape it.
All right.
Wow, that was interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So, now let me see if I can go back. There, you got it. Okay. Yeah. So you see, these commercial real estate loans are on the books of the bank on the asset side. So let me share this screen with you here. And okay, oh, there it is. I'm a rookie, so
you're doing well. You're doing very well.
Not up to your par. Okay, so this is about commercial real estate loans. The core problem is the maturity wall. If you were listening to the little video there, these commercial properties were put on the books in 2018, 2019, and so they have a loan against them, and those loans are going to come due between 2024, 2027, 28. Now, this happens all the time. Okay, again, this is not anything new, but there's a big load of them coming up. Roughly 1.5 to 2 trillion of commercial real estate loans, mostly office buildings, must be refinanced. So when that loan comes due, the owner is either going to pay it off or they have to refinance the balance. Now, the owner has trouble doing that because the office building is not worth anything or not worth as much as it was. There are factors that contribute to that. Remote work. People went home at COVID and they did not come back. Okay. So some 20 to 30% occupancy is gone.
Think about this, Steve. Sorry, just stop there with the remote work business, right? What happened during COVID? A lot of remote working, right?
Yeah.
Now, you think about this has been going on now for how long? For quite a few years now, right? So people are now used to the idea of not going to the office anymore, and everything can be done through remote working.
Yeah.
So therefore, there has been a slump in the, shall we say, the viability of having commercial real estate. You know what I mean? As far as offices, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you see them empty everywhere.
Well, that's right. You're seeing them everywhere, and I see it all the time. Now, the question is what are they going to do with it? And especially now with AI replacing the grunt work and replacing those employees that you'll no longer need that office space.
Right.
Like what you said there about AI and automation, so that makes sense as well. See how that all ties in?
Yeah, it does. And that's another reason that the workers are not returning to those locations. They've got remote jobs and the AI has either replaced the job or is assisting that person at home to complete their job, Let
me entertain a little idea here for you. All right. Okay. Let me just stop it there for a moment. Now, during COVID, everyone did remote work, right?
Right.
AI has been around. This is the thing. Okay, all of a sudden we had a huge influx, huge boost in AI, automation and all that. To me, it just seems too coincidental, to be quite honest.
Oh,
if you know.
Okay.
I'm looking at it different angles as well, remember.
Yeah.
A transition. And I would say that this AI has been, AI has been around for a very long time. People don't realize this. They needed the right time to implement AI. So look at it from this perspective. Okay. You know where I'm going with this, don't you now?
Right, yeah. So it's just like everything.
What a better time.
Yeah.
What a better time than when you had this pandemic happen. People go and work remotely, get them used to the idea of no longer coming into the office, right? As an end result, you've had a slump in the commercial real estate market, okay? And therefore, they've got that excuse, now we've got AI. AI is going to take over all that work that was done by employees. Why, you've got to look at it from a different angle.
Yeah, that
It's
does make
just
sense.
everything just lines up too. It's not coincidental. That's the way I see it.
Right. Yeah, it is. So yeah, I agree. I hadn't looked at it from that angle, but that is good. What better time to introduce AI to the population
Correct.
than
Correct.
when they're already, satisfied. Now, we can go down the whole thing of, is AI going to replace people? Not everybody, that kind of
Well,
thing. But
look, I've been seeing
what
it.
it is doing
Yeah.
is causing the slump, and part of the slump in the commercial real estate market.
Well, look at what's going on with the banking as well. No longer, people used to go into the tellers and all that and do all their business. No longer. Nope.
Oh, no.
Nope, that's not happening. Everything's done automatically. AI, automation.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, we've
And
been
then
banking by phone for a long time. I remember
they've
when
been
I
getting
first
us used to
started-
the idea.
Yeah.
It's like with the frog, the frog that's been, he's in the nice little warm water there. And
Oh,
before you know
frog,
it,
okay.
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah. And
that
then the
frog.
temperature starts to come up. Yeah.
That's right. So the way I see it, it's been a transition.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you can't just go from zero to hero. You got to go and get the people used to the idea. And I can see it, how it's been happening. Now think about this, how they've been getting used to the idea to a cashless society. Well, how long has cards been around? So people think by having that card in their hand that's money, right?
Mhm.
But they've been getting you used to the idea of a cashless society for a while now. I remember back in the day when my parents had the bank card, you know what I mean, in their hand.
Mhm.
And there was like,
yeah.
oh, wow, this is all great and convenient and all that sort of stuff. But they've been getting used to that idea.
Mhm.
Even though they used to do, the sliding business, that
Yeah.
thing.
Oh, yeah.
But
I
it's
loved it
still,
too.
it
Yeah.
wasn't hard cash. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's been getting people used to an idea, ladies and gentlemen. And that's the way I see it.
Yeah, it
What a
started
better
with checks.
time. Sorry?
Started with checks.
That's
When I
right.
grew up, you wrote checks for things everywhere you went.
We had checks too. We wrote
Yeah,
checks.
that's
We
what
had
I'm saying, but
postal
before-
notes. What do you call them? Postal orders. Post orders. What do you call them?
Okay, so that's
From the
what you
post
were writing,
office?
like a bank draft. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. You would you go to the post office, pay cash, and they'd convert it into a postal,
that's a money
like a postal
order.
check. A money order. Yeah, that's it. That's
Yeah.
what I want to say. Yeah, money order. That's the one.
Harvey
Okay.
actually addresses money orders in the bill. So,
Oh, does he?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Look, he left no detail unturned. It's all
So-
in there. So
Was Harvey onto it to see that this is like a transition, if you will? Was he on that?
no, well, not to the level that we're talking about. Remember, he passed away in 2005. So AI and certainly didn't perceive COVID and that kind of stuff. But he could definitely see where the system was going to break down. And when I say the system, I mean what the money is backed by, how the banking system works,
Right.
internal with compound interest, and the rules that when you start seeing some of the rules that the bank operates under, you can see why it's a very delicate system. And also our taxation system. So you got to remember, think of it like a clock. Okay, if you have an old-timey clock and you have all those gears in it, right? They all have to work together. You can't fix one part and not the other, or not, putting a patch on it. He called it tinkering at the margins. But I don't think, my father loved sci-fi, so I'm sure that he, would imagine that, yeah, one day some of this,
But even
manual
back
work
then,
would be done.
right, Harvey was in the era when they used to have cards, right? The ATMs,
Oh, yeah,
they existed,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But you could see, like, what they were doing, it's, okay, you got to get somebody used to an idea of having no cash, right? So becoming into a cashless. You're not going to just say, right, we're going to get rid of your cash next day. It doesn't work that way.
No.
It's a transition.
That's
what I'm
right.
saying is getting back to where we are right now,
Mhm.
that the way I see it, it's been in the cards. You know what I mean?
It may be.
Have a look at
Right.
that.
Right.
What you got there,
The
remote
next
work.
step- yeah, remote work, and as far as the
Yes.
digital cash, that's where they want to move us, is to digital ID, and digital currency, which is tokenization of assets and complete and total control over you as an individual to buy and sell anything. Okay, and again, if you'll go back to some of the early chapters that we did, Harvey makes the point clearly that we give up our rights for convenience, and it is sold to us as safety, right? This is going to be good for you. You don't know what's good for you. We do. So this is going to be safe, and it's going to be convenient. And so little by little, we keep our rights keep eroding down. So,
Like, Carol's saying cash is king. It'll only be king when it's linked to a bimetallic system. You know what I mean?
right now it's a
Whereas-
fiat. Yeah, it's
Exactly.
not anything right now, so,
Exactly. And that's the thing. I mean, look at it from this perspective, right? So you got the COVID came, remote work was the thing to do, right? Everyone was doing remote work. Then the banks, you saw, I've seen it here, and I'm sure we saw it in the States as well, where they started closing down banks, ATMs, all things started closing down, right? They started in the background. Did you see it? How it started happening. Then the empty office spaces, right? Which means someone's got to, pay the price, so to speak, on that
right,
one.
I'm going to show you how.
Okay, yeah. So think about it from this perspective. I mean, then there's got to be a huge loss, and someone's got to, as you said, pay the price. Show me who's going to pay the price.
I'm going to show you
for it, please.
So another reason that building owners are having problems is because the interest rates have gone up. Okay, so let me see if I can go to my next list. Of course, and they have maintenance costs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so an owner wants to go and refinance their building. It's come due. It's time to go do the deal. Right now, the loan to value ratio is now upside down. See, a bank will loan you 60 to 70% of what the building's worth. Right, so the value of the building has probably come down significantly. Okay.
Yeah.
And that ratio is out of whack. In other words, the owner needs more money than that 60 or 70% to make good, to do a new loan. If the building was worth, as an example, if the building was worth 100 million in 2019, the bank may have loaned 65 million. If the building is now worth 45 million, the bank cannot refinance that same amount. To refinance, the owner must pay down the loan of tens of millions of dollars. He's got to make up this difference. And he must.
And what if he can't?
Well, that's what I'm going to tell you. See, owners, in order to qualify, everybody's gone down for a loan, you have to have your income. You have to show that your debt ratio is able to support that payment. And so they must show a healthy cash flow. Well, they can't. Why? Because their rental income has collapsed. People have moved out of the building, and so their debt service coverage ratio doesn't exist. They're not taking the money in. In addition, the interest rates, let me move this up. The interest rates have doubled or tripled. An old loan at 3 to 4% has now given away to a loan to 7 to 9%. And even building with tenants cannot support that kind of payment jump. So the owners just say, I'm out of here, Jack. And they lose the building. Now, so who's stuck with the building, right? The bank is stuck with the building.
Okay.
And here's where it gets fun. Okay.
Yep. I got a question for you.
Okay.
I know that banks, they got insurance on losses.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
They do. So, for example, when you take out a mortgage, you got mortgage insurance. You realize that, right? No, I'm sure it's like that in the States as well.
Yes.
Where you take out insurance. It's not insurance on you. It's insurance on the bank's got insurance on to not make a loss. That's what it is.
Yeah, banks do have insurance, that cover their business, which includes their losses. Okay,
Correct.
So
Yes,
that's what I'm
right.
saying. This stuff has been sustaining for a long time, but you need to understand the mechanics behind it to see why, when all of this stuff comes at the same time, why it causes problems. Okay, like the Silicon Valley, like the
Yes.
savings and loan. Okay,
Yes.
that was in the 80s and 90s in Silicon Valley in 2008. You have what's called a perfect storm in the banking industry.
You think about that. I mean, you got a huge influx of all these people. Just, I can't afford it. See you later. You know what I mean?
Right.
The banks are left, and then the insurance companies have got to fork it all out. So you're going to have a major collapse, aren't you?
No. Like I said, this is what the commercial. There's 3 different areas I'm going to show you. Okay, that are all like make the perfect storm. All right. Now, commercial real estate loans. Again, this is in the little video. This is a slow rolling thing. It happens all the time. And as interest rates go up and down, it's more dangerous when interest rates rise. Simply because if that's when these commercial loans come up, then you get into this this situation where the owners can't refinance.
But
Coupled
don't
with the
forget
fact
also, we're living in unprecedented times.
we are,
You know,
and
so you think about
exodus
now
from
with
the
remote
cities.
working,
Mhm.
okay, no need for those spaces. Number
Right.
2, AI, no need for those employees, right?
Mhm.
So we're working in unprecedented times. Therefore, there's going to be something's got to give. You know what I mean?
Right, right, and that is
Yeah.
possible. Again, I'm not telling people this to say go run down to no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm going to show you where
No,
the
no.
holes in the system are. Okay, I'm
Sure.
certainly not doing that because there are things in place. Because part of this is how does the government come in and fix these things? What happens when the bank fails or
Okay.
has problems? Okay, so here, okay, so what happens to the banks holding these notes? Okay, banks have 3 options. None of them are good. You got to remember this thing is sitting on their asset side, right? So they extend and pretend. This is the most common thing of what they do. Banks quietly extend the loan rather than force a default. Why? If they foreclose, they have to mark that asset to market value, which we just said was now 45 million, not 100 million. So boom, that's a loss. Meaning they must record the true value of the building, possibly 40 to 60% lower. That would wipe out earnings, reduce capital ratios, which is important, and trigger regulatory problems. So banks roll loans forward and to hoping the markets will recover. So again, hoping that interest rate will settle out, they can get a buyer for the building, and everything stays even. It's called
In
extend
other
and
words, kicking the
pretend.
can up the road.
A little bit, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, this is nothing new. Okay. So they foreclosed on the building. Now, if the bank forecloses, the building on their books is at current market value. They must record that loss. Sometimes it can be tens of millions of dollars. Their balance sheet weakens, right? Because now I have less assets than I have, than I did before. And that's risk weighted capital. And it's now lower so that it falls. Regulators become concerned about solvency. So that's how banks get into trouble. They lose their solvency. So many buildings are distressed. A bank avoids doing this. Okay, so if they have a lot of them, they don't want to foreclose on them. They sell the loan at a discount. Investment firms, distressed buyers who are willing to take this on, will buy the loans at 30 to 50 cents on the dollar. The banks take an immediate hit, but reduce their long-term exposure. Okay. Now, however, many regional banks cannot afford to realize these losses because their capital buffers are already thin. They're already running on a thin margin. Okay. So regional banks have the most difficulty. Okay. Because they are smaller. Your big dogs are not going to have that kind of problem with commercial real estate. Let me see what my next slide is here. Okay, so this is directly how it affects the balance sheet when they take it off. But what I'm saying about regional banks is that, again, they're smaller and they're invested in their communities, so they tend to have more on their books for commercial real estate and that type of thing. That doesn't mean that regional bank is going to fail. What that does mean is that you might see regional banks merge. Okay, so what I'm saying is that they'll pool their resources, they'll pool their capital.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is kind of how it works on the balance sheets of the books. A balance sheet will show zombie loans. Banks carry CRE, that's commercial real estate loans, at face value, not market value. That's what we were just talking. They extend and pretend, right? This means assets are overstated. They're writing down they have more assets than they really do. Risk exposure is understated. So they really have more risk than they're saying. Banks look healthier than they really are. This is similar to what happened in the 1980s savings and loan crisis. Okay, that's what caused it. Rising delinquencies. The CRE delinquencies have already started to climb by 2026. Excuse me, I don't know what's wrong with me. Analysts expect office loan default rates at 25 to 40%. And that's going to be from owners walking away. That's what a default is. Retail and mixed use, 10%, because that's office at 20 to 25 to 40, retail 10 to 20. Industrial warehousing is relatively stable. Okay, so that means people are still using these commercial buildings for manufacturing or that type of thing, warehouse. Every default forces a bank to write down the loss. Okay. Capital ratios shrink. Under banking regulations, when loan value falls, the bank must hold more capital, but capital is falling, you see? So you see how what I'm saying is that ratio, when they have to take a loss on that side, it reduces their ratio. This creates a capital shortfall, potential insolvency risk. Again, regional banks are especially exposed because 20 to 40% of their portfolios are CREs. So if you think about that, 25 to 40% of my assets are in commercial real estate. Okay. And if I take a hit on that, that takes as a bank, that puts a big damper in my ratio. They are heavily invested in office and retail buildings. They lack the reserves of big banks like JP Morgan. That's what I was just saying. Okay. Liquidity pressures. If depositors get nervous, like during the Silicon Valley Bank, banks may face accelerated withdrawals, pressures to sell assets at a loss, liquidity spirals. So CRE weakens, increases. So the weakness of the commercial real estate loans increases that risk. Did you follow all that?
Yeah, I did. I'm following that. And there's a lot of excitement in the chat, guys. Okay. A lot of excitement now. I get it. Look, you're right, Dee. Hey, trigger alert, so to speak.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Look, we get the people they're putting statements in there and all that. And look, what we're trying to do is ask everybody to basically keep on track with what Dee is telling us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then let's save question time for later, please. We need people to focus in the chat, okay?
Yeah.
I just wanted to make that statement.
Okay, good. Yeah,
we need to. Otherwise, we're going to be distracted.
Mm-hmm. Trillions of gold deposited. Okay, so yeah, that's a history lesson. Okay, well, we'll get to that later.
Look, you pretty much nailed it, Dee, with that. Spot on.
Okay, so that's and again, banks have been operating like this for decades. This is not new information, and they've always recovered and bounced back just fine. Okay, but again, it's part of how banks work. So you need to understand the system, right? And then when I explain how Nesara fixes it, you'll see why it needs to be fixed. Does that make sense, FC?
Yes, it does.
Okay, all right.
It does.
So I think.
Because I'm just keeping an eye on everything.
Okay.
As you know, I'm looking at things in the background and looking here and looking here. So, I get it. And look, obviously, it's something that's not new. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I remember the 80s that did happen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's like this. Let's pretend it doesn't exist. And then what happens is when something you pretend that doesn't exist piles up, you got to deal with it. That was the end result in 1980s, wasn't it?
Yes, and that's that's what happened, and that's what happened with Silicon Valley as well. A little bit different reasoning with Silicon Valley, but and so you have to pay attention to these things and watch. If you're really astute and you really want to know what your bank is doing, you can go to their website and get their reports and see how heavily leveraged they are in commercial real estate loans, how heavily registered. I'm going to show you about their bonds, and I'm going to show you about derivatives. You can check all of that on their reports.
So my question is this: so all these things. I mean, look, what happened in 1980 with it was the what do you call it? The S&L crisis, which is the loans crisis that took place.
Mm-hmm.
Did any banks go down because of it? Was there any end result of that?
I think there probably was, but I didn't pull research on it. I remember living through it, but I don't remember.
Yes.
Yeah. I could pull some research on that and tell you. But yeah, banks do get into trouble, and of course we've talked about FDIC. Depositors are okay. Okay.
So they're safe. That's what I wanted to speak about, the bail-in, bail-out laws.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're safe, and I'll show you that too.
Yeah.
Again, this is regular business. Okay. What we
Yes.
have today is look at this and say, do we want our business conducted this way? Okay.
Sure.
That is the purpose of this exercise. So you can say, well, you know what? I don't like that. I would like the banks to be safer. I would like the banks to be custodians. And as I get deeper into this, especially when we get to derivatives, you're going to go,
Yes.
oh no, I don't like that at all. But that's what Nesara, Harvard, the original Sarah changes. Okay. This is kind of the same stuff we just went over, but it's a little bit, this is
Yeah.
a systemic risk. Okay. As I said, regional banks could be hit hardest. These banks carry the bulk of commercial real estate because they're in the communities, right? Some banks may fail or forced to merge. FDIC losses increase. So that means the FDIC steps in and takes care of the depositors, right? And the
Right.
bank has to suffer the actual losses. Pension funds are exposed. Many public pensions are invested in office buildings and commercial mortgage-backed securities. Falling returns equals higher taxpayer burden later. So basically what that's saying is that if your pension, a portion of your pension is invested in commercial real estate or banks that have commercial real estate, you might want to take a look at that. Okay, I'm just saying,
Well, could they be risking their pension
I don't think so.
in a situation like that?
No, because pensions usually, a pension fund is invested in a lot of things. Okay.
That's right. That's exactly right. It's not just one
very
area.
Widespread. No, it's
Yeah,
not.
so you got different investments now,
Right.
but they do invest in some high risk areas, and I've seen it happen where people have lost it
It depends on
or
what you
component
choose.
of what we call superannuation. You call it their pension.
Mhm.
I've seen it happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's up to the investor. If you have a pension, and there's a lot of different ways that you can structure your pension. If you're going to, take it out in a lump sum and then invest it, you make those choices. Oh, hey, I want to be high risk.
Yes.
I want to roll the dice.
I've
I
seen that
understand
happen.
the
That's what I'm
concept.
saying. Like,
Right.
I know
But you
someone
can
that lost
also go-
300 grand
Yeah.
because of a bad investment, advice that he got.
Yes. So again,
So-
it's the investor. You make those decisions. Some people want to be moderate. Some people want to be low risk. Some
Yes.
people want to roll the dice. So again, that's a personal decision, and that's fine.
Correct.
This kind of things, it's just something when you're looking at your pension, just say, hey, what are we invested in that? Because most people don't. And they just, oh yeah, here's my money market statement. I'll put it in the pile. You might want to read it. Now here's another little thing that you don't think about it until you think about it. But cities lose property tax revenue when these buildings go out of business. Owner walks away. The building is not being used. The city there loses that property tax revenue. Okay.
That makes a world of sense. Yes, it does.
Yeah, like I said,
Yeah.
it's just one of those little after things. Now, as I said before, this is a slow motion crisis. This thing rolls across, and happens all the time. Analysts describe this as a 3 to 5 year rolling crisis, not a sudden collapse. Okay. Loans come due gradually. They're not all going to hit at the same time. Banks extend refinancing. Sometimes the bank says, okay, well, we're going to give you a little bit more time. We believe in you and we want you to get back on your feet. Regulators avoid immediate repricing. But the end result is still the same. If it is allowed to get too much on a bank's asset sheet, that bank will become insolvent. Okay. So it's something to look for.
Yeah. Just want to say one thing, guys. Please keep your questions for later. Okay. If you want your questions answered later, put a Q in front and then the question after that. Okay. We need to allow D to do the presentation so then everybody gets it without any interruptions in the chat. Please let D have the opportunity to answer those questions later. Okay. Because we need D to answer these questions, not people in chat to answer it for others in the chat. If you know what I mean, D?
Yes. I'll answer your questions later to the best of my ability. I don't give financial advice, but if I can answer something certainly about what I've presented or what's in the bill, I will do that.
Because, you got people that, okay, this is your background, about your father's work, this, that, the other, right? So we're relaying everything on the real Nesara. So we need to get the right information from D. Now,
Yes.
we can't get others in the chat to answer questions on behalf of what Dee's presenting. No. We need to discuss this once this presentation is concluded. Okay, so I ask everybody to extend that respect to Denise, please. Thank you.
Thanks, FC. I want to share this real quick and show you where, I didn't pull this out of the sky or anything. The numbers that I've been using here, the percentages, all the information comes from readily available sources you can go to and look up yourself. The Mortgage Bankers Association, Commercial Mortgage Analyticals Firm, that's TREP, Moody Analytics, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, CRE risk reports, Federal Reserve financial stability reports, FDIC and OCC supervisory discussions. Okay, these organizations track the maturity schedule of all commercial loans, commercial real estate loans. Okay, now here is this thing. They are predicting between 2024 and 2027 approximately 1.5 to 2 trillion in U.S. CRE loans will come due. Okay, so there's going to be a big refinancing push. All right, but we're looking at, some of this has already been going on, right? 2024, where we're, 2 years into it and everything's fine. Okay, so that's why I'm saying don't get, run down to the bank and think, oh my God, it's an emergency. It's not. We've still got what is 25, 2 more years, right? And again, these things are just business as usual, but that's how the system works. Okay, so did you already follow that portion?
Yes, did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. I can stop right here and take a few questions about commercial. Or I can go to the bond sections.
Everything that you're saying and presenting, Dee, is based on logic and factual. It's all been proven, facts, evidence, receipts, as you always do.
Yeah.
And, it's basing everything on, okay, what you're trying to do is show the contrast as what Nesara would do for the economy,
Right. Exactly.
And that's what we need to do. That's why I say to people, please pay attention.
Yeah.
So therefore, if you ask the questions, you'll be able to get the right answers. Okay?
Yeah. Hang on just a second. I see the one that I missed. Hang on.
I know there's a lot of people rolled up in the chat. It always happens, Dee.
Oh, my God.
Oh, you always roll them up, don't you?
Don't panic. Nobody panic.
I know. Then they're saying, add another year, it's all bullshit, period.
Okay.
I love it. I love the passion, guys. I love the passion,
That's good.
please.
I like the passion.
The passion
too.
is good. You know what I mean?
Because that's going to, help you when you read Nesara and you understand why the system needs to change. Okay, because you'll understand why it works and how all of this time we have not been paying attention, as it were. So, hang on, I'm going to set up for my next video.
Okay, any questions in the chat yet? Let's have a look. Any questions, guys? As I said, please put a Q in front and your question directly after that, just so we can find you. We want to answer your questions, but we need to get help as well. You need to put that Q in front, please.
Okay. So the next section we're going to talk about is, hang on just a second. Trying to do videos and screens at the same time. This is a real learning experience.
Oh, look, you're doing well.
Okay, good. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is the bond losses. Banks invest in bonds. Okay, so again, I have a little video here. We'll see if we can get it added up to the screen. It'll explain things to you, and then I'll go through. I think I just have one slide on this. So this is pretty simple. This is pretty simple to understand. So here we go.
Across the US are sitting on hundreds of billions in losses, but most people can't see them. Here's why. When a bank buys a bond for $100 and interest rates rise, that bond might only be worth $70 on the market. That $30 drop is an unrealized loss, a loss on paper. And unless the bank sells the bond, it doesn't have to report that loss as real. Why? Because of two accounting buckets, held to maturity and available for sale. If a bank labels a bond held to maturity, they don't have to mark it to market. They can pretend it's still worth full value, even if it's underwater. Those losses don't hit earnings, and they don't hurt capital ratios. This is how banks hide interest rate losses legally. If they label a bond available for sale, it's marked to market. But the losses still don't hit the income statement. They go to something called other comprehensive income, which most people never look at. So what's the risk? When rates surged in 2022 through 2024, the value of older low-rate bonds crashed. Today, banks hold $500 to $700 billion in unrealized losses. But because most of those bonds are classified as HTM, banks look healthier than they are, and this becomes deadly if depositors pull money. If withdrawals spike, a bank may be forced to sell those bonds, and the paper losses instantly become real losses. Capital evaporates, regulators step in, and the bank fails fast. That's exactly what happened to Silicon Valley Bank. Here's the bigger problem. Many regional banks are also exposed to commercial real estate, which is quietly deteriorating too. So they're hiding bond losses, real estate losses, and facing shrinking deposits, all at the same time. They might look fine today, but as loans reset and deposits fall, the hidden losses come into the light. And when that happens, the balance sheet illusion disappears overnight.
Wow.
Okay, so that's your bond losses there. And okay, so
yeah, that's
again,
a big kick
I
in
see a lot of people, and I knew this was going to get people stirred up. And again, like I said, I'm not the only one that talks about this. You can go anywhere on the internet and find economists talking about this, and it's information is readily available. Again, it's been going on for years, and we're all fine. Okay, this is banking business as usual. Okay, it's the way the system works. Now,
you know what is there? It's the way you explain it, the presentation, the videos, all that puts it all together. And it's another thing when you got an economist that talks in the jargon, and then you got someone that breaks it down and explains it. Then people get it. You know what I mean?
Yes, and that's what I want people to do. I want people to understand this. There's no reason you shouldn't understand how your system works. Again, how can you demand something better if you don't know what you got? You know, so
Well,
you've got
Monterey says crikey, that means oh shit in Australian slang. Just to let you know.
Well, okay, what is it? Crikey?
Crikey.
Crikey. Okay.
Crikey means oh shit, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
it is.
It's
scary.
an expression.
It is scary. But again, it's not like I said, there's no reason to run down there and say, oh my God, I don't want money.
Oh, now the questions are starting rolling. Good, guys. Keep it up.
Keep it
Thank
up.
you, Omanu, and thank you, Greg. Keep rolling in those questions. Keep going.
Yeah, we're going to go back through and take them. Okay, so let's get with this bond business here real quick. I just have a little explanation. Okay, like the video said, an unrealized loss on paper, meaning the value of the asset has fallen, but the bank hasn't sold it yet. An example, a bank buys a U.S. Treasury bond for $100. Interest rates rise. The bond's market value falls to $70. If the bank holds the bond, it still keeps it at that $100 value, even though the difference, $30 difference, is unrealized. Now, they know if I sold it today, I'm going to lose $30, but I'm still going to write it on my books as that's worth $100. If the bank does not have to recognize this loss on its income sheet unless it sells the asset. So it's not going to take that loss until it actually sells it, right? So that's called, there's two different buckets here. That's what I was talking about in the video. That's called held to market. Banks do not mark these assets to market price. Just because the price fell on the market doesn't mean they're going to change their balance sheet. They don't realize that loss until they sell it. Losses do not hit the income statement. Losses do not reduce regulatory capital because it's still on my books as worth $100. If a bank says we will hold on to this bond until it matures, then the bank is allowed to treat the bond as if it's still worth full value, even if the market value has collapsed. This is perfectly legal under regulatory rules. Nothing new there. Available for sale. Available for sale securities are marked to market, but losses skip the income statement. Instead, they go to other comprehensive income, which doesn't impact daily operations. AFS losses may impact certain regulatory and capital ratios, but not always. So what it's saying is when the bank says, okay, you know what, I need to get some cash to run my business here. I'm going to sell these bonds and I'm going to sell them. I have to put them up for market value, whatever the market is that day, and sell them at that market value. And that's what I'm going to get. Now, they consider that on their books as other income. Okay? And that may or may not affect their capital ratios because they're using it for daily operations. It just depends on how they represent it on their books, right? Again, business as usual. So, but there's a lot of losses.
What comes to my mind is what Professor Warner said: alchemy.
Yeah,
yeah. Where I'm going with this alchemy. Yeah,
that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, he sure did. Well, I think he was talking about credit creation. When he was speaking of alchemy.
Well,
but yeah,
you can apply that with it as well, because
you can.
It's sort of like how they can do these little magic tricks, and as far as I'm concerned, they're all little magic tricks as well. Illusions,
but it's perfectly
if you will.
legal. Yeah, it's perfectly legal.
It's perfectly legal because it's in the banking system. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right.
And look, we spoke about that with Professor Warner. I mean, Professor Warner went through that quite a bit. Which I recommend everybody watch that segment that we did on the Real Nesara show with that whole decade we did with Professor Warner. That was amazing. That was awesome.
That was a really good. Yes. and he really pointed out, like I said, one of the major problems with our economic system here. And the other thing is, and we talked about this, and I don't know, it was pre-show last night or today. It's all the same day to me. But like I got a nap in between. But what I call the heart of the devil. Okay, you have the income tax system, and you have the backing, and you have moving the Fed and all of that. Again, you're tinkering at the margins. Now, if you want to put us on the gold system, let me start here. The internal revenue system is probably going to change. Okay, and I say that based on the fact that President Trump is now working on establishing the External Revenue Service. And then, there's this shortfall, and the taxpayers are going to have to make that up if they want to continue to have the same type of services. So something's going to be done there, one way or the other, whether it stays an income tax, whether it goes to a national sales tax, that needs to be negotiated. Moving the Fed to the Treasury is simply changing the name on the electric bill. Okay. There's not really anything done there structurally. At least it wasn't in that bill that they have up on in committee right now. Putting us on a gold standard is a whole nother little trick. Okay. And that takes time and effort and planning. And so it can be done. It would, some people would be hurt by that. You can't lie about that, but it's doable. The heart of the devil is in the banking industry. Okay. This is where you have credit creation, money created by credit. You have all of these rules. Banks are making money through compound interest. And when I play this next part, y'all think that you got that chat riled up. Wait till I show them derivatives.
Mine is saying it's cooking the books. That's right.
It is.
Some mad recipes in that book, let me tell you.
It's called cooking the books. Yeah.
Yes, there's some mad recipes in there.
Yeah, derivatives are scary, and that's the one thing that'll bother you the most. All this other stuff is business, and derivatives are too. But anyway, so we'll take a stab at this and see how we do. All right, let me get mine.
When you're saying about the gold standard, right? Going to the gold standard, I've noticed another thing. Russia has increased their gold supply 300 billion, I think now. So they've been increasing.
Have they? Okay. Yeah, I haven't really.
No, I've been keeping an eye.
Yeah.
I keep an eye on what's going on as far as out there. And it just seems to be everyone's increasing their stockpiles. So they are preparing, you could see it, that we are shifting towards a gold back, biometallic system.
We're shifting to something, that's for sure. That's for sure.
Well, the indicators are all there. You have a look around.
It is. Yeah. And again, it's something that has to be done over time. You can't pull the plug and just wake up and say, okay, it's, we were talking about redemption centers and reevaluation yesterday. I'm not going to go down that trail because I don't want to give these people any more oxygen.
No, I don't want to. I think we had enough laughter yesterday.
We did. But think about it. Think about it practically. If you're holding a Federal Reserve note and you wake up tomorrow and you now have a gold back note, how what kind of chaos would that be to try to exchange it? You know, in Nesara, Harvey says, as if you do it systematically and organized, those Federal Reserve notes will leave the system organically and be replaced by credit notes, right? That's what the bill says, what
Could
this
I-
bill says. So
Can I present something to you?
sure, go ahead.
Right? Because I like to present things. Could it be possible that they could be doing this in the background, if you know what I mean?
Anything's possible.
Well, look, as I said, you're looking at the world stage, and you can see that China's increasing their stockpile. All these countries are increasing their stockpile of gold, which is indicative that something's going on, right? Now, did you remember? I think was it early this year or end of last year? They brought gold from England all the way to New York, which I know where they went, over to the Federal Reserve, right?
Yeah.
Because they deposited gold. You heard about that, didn't you? How they?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Yep.
So this is what I'm saying. There's something going on. The other question that I got is, why hasn't President Trump gone to Fort Knox yet? You know, that's another little question of mine.
Another little thing,
Because, okay, everyone thought that Fort Knox is like the bee's knees where the gold is and all that. No. It's the Federal Reserve of New York. You know that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And you can see the only urgency is the fact that the dollar may lose its value, is losing. You know, other countries are looking at backing their currency with something other than the US dollar. Right.
That's already happening. You can see.
Yes. Yeah.
The
you
writing's
can.
on the. I mean, have a look at what's going on with the trading with. I know you've been keeping an eye with Russia and India. They've been working, and they're working with each other's national currencies. So they're not using the US currency.
Right. Right.
You see what's going on. So
And that's the danger there. That's that the U.S. currency would devalue
well, look,
to the point.
it's on the wall. The writing's on the wall. You can see it,
Yeah.
right?
Something's gonna
Now,
have to be done.
you've seen what Q says in that Q drop. Gold shall destroy the Fed, right? Do we have the gold? Well, where is the gold kept? Well, where is it kept? In the Fed.
Right.
There you go. So in other words, what it's saying in that particular Q drop is that President Trump has got control of the Fed. And he's shown that by example, by being able to get rid of certain characters. Like, you think about it, he's gotten rid of quite a few people from the Fed. I mean, Jerome Powell, I mean, think about it. Who put Jerome Powell in the first place? I mean, you know, he's... So these other cast of characters he's gotten rid of. And he's made it publicly, and he's always attacking the Fed. Have you noticed? Never before have you seen somebody like that, like a president do that before.
And it's all part of the thing. But again, an actual financial reset, it's like everything else, it happens organically. Okay. It has to happen, you know, when it's ready. And in order to do that, I believe he would have to invoke the it was an Emergency Economic Act or something like that.
And he's got the powers to do it.
Oh, no, he's got the powers to do it. But you have to, the economy has to get to that state first. And so,
well,
again,
what are we at? 38 trillion already?
Well, you're talking about the national debt. I'm talking about inflation and the value of the dollar. And
okay. Well, look, anything and everything is possible with
anything is possible. I never count anything out because I never know what's coming.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah. Okay, let me see if I've got another little video here for us.
Mate, who thought economics can be exciting and passionate and fun?
It can be fun. Like I
yes.
said, it's certainly interesting. Okay, so everybody hold on because this is derivative. So here we go.
Let's go for it.
The biggest risk in banking isn't loans or mortgages. It's bets. Derivatives are financial contracts whose value is based on something else. Interest rates, stock prices, currencies, commodities, even mortgage values. They aren't real assets. They're side bets on the future, things like interest rate swaps, credit default swaps, options, futures, and mortgage derivatives. They're basically bets on what markets will do next. And the scale of this market is almost unbelievable. Global banks hold hundreds of trillions of dollars in derivative exposure. Some estimates put total value between $600 trillion and $1 quadrillion. That's bigger than global GDP, the value of all stocks, all real estate, and all the world's money combined. It is the largest financial structure ever created. built on leverage and assumptions. So why is this dangerous? First, derivatives create massive leverage. A bank can place a $100 million bet with only a few million down, which means a tiny price move can wipe out a bank's capital. Second, derivatives link banks together in a global daisy chain. If one bank loses, another owes money. If that bank can't pay, the losses cascade. This is what almost collapsed the system in 2008. Not mortgages themselves, but the derivative guarantees behind them. Third, derivatives rely on counterparties being solvent. A derivative is just a promise. In calm markets, that works. In panic, nobody trusts anyone and the system seizes up. Here's the worst part. Derivatives are mostly off-balance sheet. Banks don't show the full value. They show only net positions. So a bank claiming 50 billion in derivatives might actually be tied to 5 trillion in bets. That's why governments always step in, not to save banks, but to stop the entire derivative web from collapsing, because the truth is, this system runs on confidence, not solvency.
Okay.
That's a real
That's a big one. Yeah.
That's a big one, all right. I mean, you're talking big bucks there.
And it's been going on forever again, and it's part of regular business, and it's all been fine. But then it's part of the mechanics too. So that's something you need to understand. And I'll go into my little slide here and kind of just clarify this for people so they don't, freak out. Okay. So derivatives. Okay, so derivative is a financial contract whose value is derived from something else, like interest rates, currency exchange rates, stock prices, bond prices, mortgage values, commodities, even weather patterns. Okay, so basically, they're kind of betting on, okay, is this going to go up? Is this going to go down? That kind of thing, right?
And the betting is like, okay, what are they actually betting? Is it anything like, tangible, or is it just all on paper?
It's all on paper. Okay.
Right. Okay.
But it is, well, let me continue explaining and maybe that'll answer your question. So examples of derivative types, okay, interest rate swaps, credit default swaps, options and futures, mortgage derivatives, currency forwards. In other words, a derivative is a bet on what will happen to financial values in the future. Like, again, is this going to go up and this is going to go down? Okay. Now, derivatives connect banks in a global daisy chain. Banks are linked together through mutual contracts. Example, Bank A is tied to Bank B is tied to Bank C is tied to Bank D. This creates a system-wide contagion network. If one bank fails, it triggers losses for others holding the opposite sides of the bets. Okay, so let me just kind of give you an example. Let's say there's a derivative between Bank A and Bank B. And Bank A, something happens to it and it can't meet its obligations. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So now Bank B has to take that loss. Well, Bank B is tied to Bank C, and that loss trickles down and it goes around. So that's what we're saying is that this is such a huge spider web that's why they did, governments step in. If one large bank fails, it triggers losses for all other banks, only other banks holding the opposite side. Okay. That's not all banks. It's just ones that are engaged with that one in a derivative arrangement. And this is how AIG nearly collapsed the global economy in 2008. That's when we had that,
right,
big downturn. Not through mortgages, okay, but through the derivative guarantees. Derivatives rely on counterparties being solvent. And that's what I said. If like this bank has a problem, then that bank's relying on that one, et cetera, et cetera.
So there you go.
Okay. Okay. So, and again, like I said, it can be scary, but it's been business as usual for a long time. And that's just, the way it is.
Carol's saying weather patterns. Yeah, until it's a good one. Even weather patterns. Yeah, it's like a domino effect. Yeah, I agree.
Right. Right. And so these are issues that, like I said, Nesara, Harvey's bill and the way he set it up, corrects. Okay. So it's just one part of the system. We've shown you throughout, this whole, we've been doing this since August, in every phase of the bill, what problem is corrected, that he outlined and said, this is how to do it. And this is how to make the system work together.
That's an interesting one right there. Did you read that?
I did real quick. So, I'm going to play you this last video here. and
Yeah.
then we can probably take some questions. So this
Sure.
video is okay, I'm learning how to do this. I get so excited.
you're
when
doing-
I get one-
you're
I
doing
wanna get one
fantastic.
right.
I know. Look, you rolled up the chat pretty good and proper now today, right?
Okay,
You realise
all right.
that, which we love.
Okay.
Keep
All right, so-
loading those questions, guys. Don't be shy.
Yeah. And again, I am not an economist. Okay. So, and I've never claimed to be one. So I'm sure y'all are going to have questions that I cannot answer and may know more about it than I do. And so I welcome your comments in that.
And then if you don't know something, Dee, we can do some research and find out.
Yeah. And we
Yes.
always talk about that. I'm always open to researching new things. And like I said, I like conversation. That's how we solve problems, is by talking to each other.
And that's how your father solved problems.
That's how he did. Yeah, he
Mhm.
sure did. So, okay. So this is how Nesara would correct these problems. So we'll roll this real quick.
Commercial real estate crisis, maturity wall, unrealized losses, and a looming derivatives meltdown is not just a real estate problem, it's a credit money problem. Harvey Barnard's Nesara predicted this decades ago and designed a system that prevents it entirely. First, no compound interest. Under Nesara, commercial loans use simple declining payments tied to the asset's real value. No balloon payments, no interest spikes, no forced refinancing. Second, value-based money. Loans cannot exceed the real value of the building. That means no inflated appraisals, no bubble lending, and no crash when values reset. Third, banks can't create money. Under Nesara, banks become custodians, not credit factories. Fourth, predictable stable payments without interest and payments don't spike when rates change. Debt service failures, the core of today's crisis, don't happen. Fifth, no tax-driven engineering. A national sales tax replaces income tax. CRE values reflect real economic use, not depreciation gains. The result, no maturity wall, no refinancing crisis, no cascading defaults. Today's banking system is troubled under unrealized losses. Hidden bond losses triggered by rising rates. Banks look solvent until they need cash, then collapse overnight, like Silicon Valley Bank. Nesara eliminates that risk because no interest rate manipulation, no bank-created credit, no long-term bond speculation, no HTM accounting tricks. Losses can't hide because the mechanisms that create them don't exist. And finally, no derivatives casinos. Derivatives thrive on interest volatility, leverage, and speculation. Nesara removes all three. Under Nesara, finance becomes simple. Money is issued by the Treasury, tied to real value, allocated without compound interest. No bubble, no bust, no illusion, no collapse. Our banking troubles we're watching are not an inevitable cycle. The National Economic Stabilization and Recovery Act offers us a solution.
All right. So
That
there
was
you have
great,
it. Okay.
Today's commercial real
Oh,
estate
sorry.
crisis.
That's okay. I've done that
I got it.
quite a few times myself.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That was great.
Occupational hazard. So yeah, so that's kind of what I know about banking.
That's awesome. I mean, they're real solutions. That's the thing. Harvey's solutions are real solutions. Let's look at the pseudo one. Zero solutions, all fantasies. Okay, but they did take components of your father's work and then they added all their fictitious embellishments after it, right?
Mhm.
As you know.
But they gave us no direction on what they took from him, how that was
Yes.
going to work. Okay. In his bill, he's got, this peg goes in this hole and this goes here. You're like, again, he was a systems troubleshooter. And so he was able to put all the pieces together and tell you exactly how it should work. And again, it's a proposal and it was written more than 30 years ago. So it's a place to start. But if we're not all talking the same language and understand the same principles, we can't have a conversation. And again, we certainly can't get it to someone in Congress to listen to.
I didn't see a bill or a proposal from Sinead Goodwin
I
or
didn't.
the
I've never
gang
seen
over
one.
there.
Yeah.
No, we didn't see anything at all because apparently they signed an NDA. You know what I mean? Gag order, NDA.
Right.
Yeah, we can't speak about it. That's the answer.
That's our answer.
We want
Yeah.
real answers and real solutions.
Right. All right. We got some questions out there. We want to.
Yes, let's
I'm
go
sure
for it.
there's a bunch of them. So I'm going back to.
And keep them
thought I was-
rolling, guys. Keep them rolling.
Thought I was going back to the top, but my goodness. There's a lot
Okay,
of
we
comments
going to the
there.
top or?
I went, okay, I'm starting at the top and I'm looking for a cue in front of the
Okay, make sure you got a queue, guys, so we can easily bring it out. Now, there's a gentleman that I don't know, a gentleman or a lady that keeps making statements, and I want to call them up in the sense of where do you get that information? Because you know we're all about facsimiles and receipts there. But we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to find them too.
Well, yeah, there'll be several, I'm sure.
Yeah, there is. We just got to find. That's why I say, guys, put the queue so we can have a look in front and find it. Right. I'm sure I've seen them, D. It's somewhere there.
Yep.
Oh, here it is, right there. Look at that one.
Where is that? Okay, when you put it up, I can't read it. So tell me.
Okay.
What does it say?
This is from Omanu. Hopefully I pronounced it correctly. Question. Hi, D. Thanks for the great banking intel. What happened to all the trillions in gold deposited in banks in 1968 to gain a 4% compound interest in 1978 equals 42 trillion for all the children and people?
That's an interesting question. I don't know.
Yeah, it is. I'll leave that one up to you. I'm just going to be back in the moment. All right, so you can take the floor.
Go right ahead. I can't read the question thoroughly here, but I don't know about that incident. So I would love to look into it and see what happened to it. You said it was in 1968. Okay, I'm gonna write that one down. And you said trillions for children and people. And again, was that here in the United States? So I don't know. So what I wish I had more information for you. I'm not a historian. I do have another question here though. Let's see if we can do this one. Will the commercial real estate collapse with our real estate also? No, each real estate is the commercial real estate loans is what we're talking about. I assume you mean with our real estate, you're talking about your personal real estate or your home. They're two separate different things. Each loan is taken on its own value and based on the asset that it's mortgaged for. So commercial real estate doesn't have anything to do with homeowners. Now, the same bank may hold mortgages and commercial real estate. That may be on their asset books. They may have, land, commercial real estate, homeowners mortgages, bonds, and all kinds of things, capital, operating capital, all on their asset sheet. But one shouldn't affect the other, if that answers your question. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Oh, okay. Here's the one that would just put up there. Okay. Now that I can actually read it, what happened to all the trillions in gold deposited into banks in 1968 to gain 4% compound interest in 1978, 42 trillion for all the children of the people? Okay. I'm going to look that up now that I can actually write down the information and I'll get you an answer. 4% compound, 42 trillion. And if you have information on what institution did that, you back?
Yes, I'm back.
Okay. All right. I've answered a couple of questions here. So
awesome.
I'm rolling down the things. So.
And that's the thing, guys. I mean, we can't answer something. We need to obviously do our research.
I'm not going to make something up.
No, we don't. We're not like, going to sit there and manufacture stuff like others do. No, we're not going to do that.
Is not gold way more secure than suspect bonds? Okay, here's a question. Is not gold way more secure than suspect bonds? It depends on your particular financial situation. Okay. Bonds have always been a good investment. Government bonds have always had a good return. Why do you think that banks and other people invest in them? It's usually a steady investment. Gold has obviously turned out to be a very good investment if you bought several years ago, right? If you look at the price of gold and how it's gone way up, but there again, it's an investment like anything else, like the stock market. It's a commodity. It stands the potential to go back down, and you can't predict that. Historically speaking, gold has always been a good investment.
Well, remember also those commodities can be artificially, what do you call it?
Valued.
Suppressed, the value of it. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And again, it depends on, like I said, your individual situation. I don't give financial advice, but, historically precious metals have done well. There have been times, and it usually works like this, when the value of the dollar is high, precious metals is low, and vice versa. So it depends on, where you are in the curve. So let's see. This is a statement, not a question, but it's interesting, and I would love to know where they got this number. To understand derivatives trading is 700 trillion a day with no taxing or regulations. It could be, I don't know, but I'd like to know where you got that that information. So if you post it later, we'll take a look at it. So,
Awesome.
yeah. Okay. Good deal. I don't know if I got all the way down to the bottom.
There was one there about I think it was an FCB question.
Okay.
Obviously to do with Q.
Okay.
Right. I saw it up the top somewhere, guys. It was up there. I think it was by a gentleman by the name of Greg. Can you see it, Dee?
I'm looking for Mr. Greg.
And please continue to put the questions, guys.
Oh, I answered that. Will commercial real estate collapse with our real estate also? Yeah, I talked about that. So I think that's the one.
No, it was something about the awaited EAS EBS thing.
Oh, okay. No,
that was there somewhere. I saw it floating around.
Okay.
You know when you catch something on the corner of your eye? It's like, oh, yes, I'll get to that one. And then it's like, we've got 2 questions after that. It's like, oh, where is it again? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, there's
here it is.
A lot of comments.
Hi, FCB. Will there still be an ES EBS? Now, I go by what the Q drops tell me. Now, if we go to Q drop 34, which let me just bring it up on the screen, Dee, very quickly.
Go ahead.
All right. Let me just go and find that in my. Oh, you're doing that
that's
again.
Me.
Yeah, feedback, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Here we go. Let's see. It's this one here. Give me a moment, Dee. I'll just sort this out. Right. So right here on the bottom, it's got the emergency broadcast system. We go by what it says here. We will. Will means a definitive. It's a definitive term, isn't it, Dee? We will.
Yes.
Not we'll think about it. We may. It's a we will be initiating. Now, why will they be initiating it is to, what does it says there? Because there's been an evil narrative that's been long broadcast. When we talk about broadcast, we talk about the mainstream media, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, in other words, to bypass the narratives that are going to be pushed out there, they're going to produce an EBS, right? It clearly says there.
Mm-hmm.
So that people get the direct message, and it's not, they're not going to say, oh, we're going to go and tune into MSNBC or go on Google and all that. One direct message. So I'm going by what Q drop 34 says, we will, which is a definitive, right? Now, at the end of the day, when it does happen, it'll be up to President Trump. It's not up to me. It's not up to anybody else, right? Anyone that claims that they know when, do not. Q has clearly said that there's no insiders and there's less than 10 that know the full extent of the plan.
Right.
So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah. We don't know. So we do the best we can until then.
Well, we go by what Q tells us, which is military intelligence.
Right.
And as I said, you see there's a Q drop as well with President Trump leaning over to press the red button, which it says EBS, like it's got to do with the EBS. Now, that's showing that he's in control of everything. He is the one that makes the call as the commander-in-chief. That's fact.
Right.
He's the only one.
That's right.
He can get advice from his chain of command, but at the end of the day, the chief, what do you call it? The chief and what do you call it? Is the commander-in-chief? Sorry, is the one that makes that final call with everything.
That's right, because he's the buck stops there.
Exactly.
Here's a question, and so it's one I want to address. It says, so when we change here, I guess it means in Canada, we have colored money. So which money will we turn to as it will be in the United States just wondering, and should we trust banks? Okay, so let's first things first. Nobody's changing money here in this country yet. Okay. I've never said that, and I'm not going to say that. What's in this book, Harvey's bill, has never been introduced in Congress, has never been signed, ratified, passed in any way, shape, or form. When he went to do so, he was dismissed and then subsequently discredited, a story for another day. But so I don't expect this to suddenly come out of the woodwork. If it does, I'll be thrilled, tickled pink. But there's nothing that says that this is going to be enacted. That's up to us. We have to let our representatives know this is what we want. But it only affects the United States. So I can't comment on Canadian money. To the second part of the question, and should we trust banks? Yes. I mean, I'm not running down doing anything radical. This is what I showed you was banking as usual. And I treat it the same way that I have my whole life. I put my money where I think it's safe and good. And I make that decision based on my family and my personal finances, what I can and cannot do. Some people can afford to invest.
Why they're asking this question?
Right.
Because of the fear porn that's out there, D.
Oh, okay. See, I don't engage in
where I'm
any
going.
of that. So,
what I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
It's because of the fear porn that obviously they hear out there.
Yeah.
While we base everything on facts, evidence, and receipts, now we have done shows about the Basel III, right? We've explained what that was all about. We've explained that, how the banking system works. Professor Warner has gone into it in detail as well. Okay. At the end of the day, we don't advise people to do anything. That's entirely up to you. Yeah. Now, what they do, D, is there are those characters out there that sell virtual gold and all the rest of it, right?
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the ones that we have, debunked.
Yeah, the ones that we've been revealing.
Right.
Now, they go out there and they use what they call fear of missing out. Now, it's one of their grifts, right? Their tactics that they use.
Yeah.
Because in other words, don't blame us when you lose all your money. Do you see how it goes?
Right.
So what happens is you come and invest it with us with virtual gold, and we know that virtual gold, I've shown you the facts, evidence and receipts, that the government does not back that up.
Right.
The virtual gold company goes under, the government's not going to save the day. Forget about it, right?
Right.
That's
exactly.
a fact.
That is.
Right?
And I was going to show you all that, what the government does to come in and fix these things, okay?
Exactly.
When banks fail. So.
And I really feel for the people, because a lot of people have, and there are groups out there that have been victims of this. Go and find them. They do exist. And especially of certain cast of characters out there that push this little fear porn. Okay?
Right.
Now, my advice is use your discernment. And with gold, if you're going to invest in gold and silver, make sure you can hold it in your hand, please. Okay?
Yeah.
That's what I do. If you don't have it in your hand, you don't own it. It's as simple as that.
Right.
And there's so many of these scammetries out there. Please be aware.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dave. I just thought I'd bring that to the table.
And I'm glad you did, because we don't give financial advice or tell you what to do, but I will tell you buyer beware, and you need to.
What did let me show you an example about the Dinar Chronicles, right? Remember this one? Okay. Now, yesterday this is relevant because there are people that are telling him to invest in dinars, right? True. They've been going out there and telling him to do this and doing that, right? On the Dinar Chronicles. And people go out there and they spend their money on dinar, right? Dinar, dong, all that, right? But the thing is, they don't bother to read the fine print of these particular websites, Steve. This is relevant to what we're saying, because it's one of these little tactics that they use, right? And I want everyone to pay attention, please, because nobody pays attention to the fine print, don't they, Dee?
Right. Okay. Oh, yeah, I remember we were talking about this after the show last night.
Yes. So I thought it's probably best that it's obviously relevant to what we're discussing.
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely relevant.
Because the point that I'm trying to make, guys, is this. People only read, they're bedazzled by the numbers and what they're promising, or these characters, you know what I mean? What they're promising in there. They call it intel, Intelligence. That's what intel is short for, right? Intelligence.
Right.
Exclusive intelligence. And they also ask you to subscribe, right? And pay money, right? So it's there. Support us. You go there. You can donate, all that sort of stuff, right? And you can pay a package money, $8 a month to get into this particular area here, right? The thing is, they go out there and they say these things about the dinar. Remember that whole spiel that they do about, you know, why it's going to go up. Then people get excited and they fear of missing out once again. They don't want to miss out because of, you know, the opportunity of getting rich, financial riches, right?
Right.
But the problem is this. Nobody goes to the bottom and reads the fine print. Do you want to do this? Let's do it right now.
Yeah. Okay. Let me blow up.
Okay, there we go. We got the disclaimer. Nobody bothers reading the disclaimer. So the Dinar Chronicles is based on talking about the dinar. They're having these bloggers there that speak about the dinar, why you should buy it, how it's going up, this, that, the other, promising you the world. And nobody bother going down the bottom to see what their disclaimer is. Please read it, Dee.
Okay. We do not endorse any opinions expressed on the Dinar Chronicles website. We do not support, represent, or guarantee the completeness, truthfulness, accuracy, or reliability of any content or communications posted on Dinar Chronicles. Dinar Chronicles is not a registered investment advisor, broker, dealer, banker, or currency dealer, and as such, no information on the website should be construed as investment advice. We do not intend to or are not providing financial, legal, tax, political, or any other advice to any reader of the website. This website is merely for informational and entertainment purposes.
Correct. So what they're doing is people are going there on the proviso, getting the right intel, the right information. They're even prepared to pay that $8 a month, whatever it is, to get the take, to be the first ones.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I don't think they're there to go and get entertainment, Dee.
Right.
But what happens is this, ladies and gentlemen, think about it from this perspective. You take them to court, you're not getting your money back,
Not getting anything.
and you can't touch them because they've got a disclaimer there. So, well, didn't you read our disclaimer that this is for informational, entertainment purposes only? And let me tell you something, those cast of characters that do the fear of missing out, these blockers like Ariel on X, because he's one of them, I showed you that the other day, and many others, they are on here and they claim this is happening and that's happening and this is going to increase the value of the dinar and all that sort of thing. But they're covered. They've covered themselves from that disclaimer. And that's exactly how they do it, Dee.
Right, exactly. And I'll just tell you up front, I don't give that advice. And every now and then, if I'm talking about something, I'll put a disclaimer on there. But that's what it says. I'm not giving you investment advice. I'm going to give you information as accurately and as up to date as I can obtain it. And I want to share that with you. I'm not selling you any. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to come on a paywall or anything. I want to share the information so you can learn. Excuse me. And so I do have a couple of slides on.
Dee, can you just check? I just put something up there for you to have a quick read.
Okay, I got it.
You got it?
Got it. Sure did.
Okay. Thanks, Carol.
Yeah, thanks, Carol. Okay, so let's say I was looking for another
question. It's in the question somewhere, isn't it? Yeah,
I got it. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
We'll have someone asking about our email address. So I think we have it on my little let me go to my banner. Here we go. I found it.
Yeah.
Here we
should
go.
be able to find it.
So if you need to email me, this is my email address. Okay. And I welcome emails. I answer my emails. You will get a response from me. If you have a question, let me know and I will do my best to get you, a question that pertains to the book. If you're reading something and you want a further explanation on it or anything like that, or you have a question about something we've talked about on the show, give me an email. And like I said, you'll hear from me. I had another little slide here. So to kind of put some people at ease, you want to do that one? Okay.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I got to pull something off the screen here first. Okay, here we go. All right. So I'm going to show you, when banks get in trouble, The government has things in place. All right. So, how governments help these problems? The FDIC bank insurance is U.S. government backed guarantee that protects depositors' money up to a standard limit of $250,000 per depositor per issued bank for each account ownership category in the event the bank fails. Okay. So, again, if a bank becomes insolvent, your money is backed up. Okay. The FDIC, guarantees that. Um, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation covers various deposit accounts such as checking, savings, and certificates of deposit, and the coverage is automatic for those accounts at any FDIC insured bank. So if you walk into your bank and it says you got the little sign that says FDIC, you're okay. Now here's kind of the mechanics of what happens in that situation. All right. If a bank becomes insolvent, the FDIC takes over receivership. If dozens of regional banks fail simultaneously, the FDIC can't
Hold on.
cover it altogether.
Something's playing in the background, D. Have you got something playing?
I don't know, do I? I don't think so.
I don't know. Can you hear it? Something is playing somewhere.
Okay. Well, let me see. Let me do this. Oh, I think that's on your end.
Are you sure?
You have something on the screen? Do you have a video up there?
Hold on. Let me just see. Sorry.
Okay. So I said, I don't have anything on my screen. So
Sorry about that. I'm just going to mute. Yeah, that's there. Sorry.
okay.
That was
Maybe that's why only you could hear it.
Yeah. Thank God that only I could hear it. But yeah.
Okay. All
Keep going.
All right. So if a bank becomes insolvent, the FDIC takes over receivership. If dozens of regional banks fail simultaneously, the FDIC alone cannot cover it. The government would need to step in, as it did for the Silicon Valley Bank. Treasury backstop, Federal Reserve lending facilities, emergency liquidity programs. These are all possibilities and things that they have used. Now, here's some likely and what is not likely. 5 to 15% of regional banks may fail or be forced into mergers. Remember how we talked about that earlier? I said regional banks may have a hard time with this when you have the convergence of this, like I said, this perfect storm in banking. But they're going to merge together. They're going to pool their resources. The FDIC is going to come in and take care of the depositors. So it's just, they might, you might have to go to a different branch or something.
Sure.
They will consolidate all of their assets, and the big banks will absorb, distressed institutions and stuff like that. What is not likely? A total systemic meltdown like in 2008. Okay, it's not likely. Failure of major systematic and important banks, JP Morgan, BofA, Wells Fargo, and Citi. These guys are going to be okay, all right? FDIC running out of funds without federal support. That's not likely to happen. The government will not let deposits evaporate because it's politically impossible. They don't want to be sitting in office when hundreds of thousands or millions of depositors lose their money in a failed bank, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to step in. They will not let the banks die. Okay. The system will keep going.
Right. Yep.
Again, we're back to this as a slow motion thing. It's business as usual. If you have bank failures, it would be in phases, not all at once. And regulators can manage failures as they come. Okay. And so there was also this other program that it can be reactivated at any time. It was created in March of 2023. It was called the Bank Term Funding Program. The purpose was to stop regional bank failures, like what we were talking about after Silicon Valley. They said, okay, we're going to do this. Think of it as a temporary emergency lending window. The Federal Reserve opened banks so banks could survive massive unrealized losses on their books bond portfolios. Remember we talked about that was the second thing, was the bond losses, without being forced to sell those bonds at a loss. Okay. How the program worked, banks could take their underwater bonds, treasuries, agency debt, mortgage-backed securities, and pledged them to the Federal Reserve as collateral. The Fed would lend the bank the full face value of the bond, not the current low market price. So if the bank held a bond purchase for 100 million, now worth 75, the Fed still gave it the 100 million. All right. Now this is how they bailed out that system. Many banks used the BTFP because they had no other way. Okay, so that was a last resort. A bank didn't want to do that. Okay, because now that's having to borrow money. But it was there for them to do that to make sure that they could stay in business and take care of everything. This program, I believe, the program was closed in March of 2024, but it remains available to reinstate. Let me see where it says that. But loans issued remaining outstanding until they mature 1 year. Okay. Although it ended, regulators still have emergency tools to reopen similar programs instantaneously. Okay, so the legislatures have that paperwork in place to use it if they need to. So I tell you that to let you know, don't panic.
There's all these safeguards in place, in other words, right?
There are.
Yeah.
There's safeguards in place. And so, like you said, people with the fear mongering and that kind of stuff, calmer heads prevail, right? And so that's where you need to be. If you let your emotions
That's
get
the issue right there.
Yeah, exactly.
The issue is this. I mean, rather than sit there with, you said calm minds prevail. That is the case. It should always be the case. Use your logic. Take your time to look at and do your research.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Use your discernment. It's very important. Don't go by emotion. You'll most likely make the wrong choices each and every time.
That's right.
I've seen it happen over and over again. The emotion of fear and the emotion of greed. Those two things. That's why they got the index, fear and greed, right?
Right.
Think about it. That's what drives up the crypto market as well. They use fear and greed.
Right. Well, it's scarcity. The scarcity of the item increases its value. And that's the same thing with gold or any other commodity. That's how the commodities market works. Okay. The scarcer the item and the more valuable it is.
Or the fear of missing out on something.
Yeah.
FOMO.
And again, anything, as we've talked about in a lot of the shows, we've covered, the chapters of the book and all that kind of stuff. But we talked about how I lost my train of thought there a second, but how the fear of missing out works sometimes in the favor of the politicians. They can use that against you, or the fear of things, crisis situation, or we have to act now. Well, wait a minute, do we really? What's going on here? And then of course it works. Anybody trying to sell you something that says you have to act now, it's before it's too late. That's a clear sign. Back up, because nothing's that urgent. Okay, unless someone's bleeding to death. I had a director of nursing. We'd come to her and say, "Oh my God, this has happened." She said, "Is someone bleeding?" "No, ma'am." She said, "Then it's going to be okay. Sit down." So that's kind of the way you have to look at it.
So Amanu added to your, that question that he put out before, just to give you more context on what's going on.
Okay.
He said the 42 trillion went into Australian banks. Sorry, not the USA. But then he further added, but trillions went into the USA banks as well. So
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that warrants to look into that. I wrote it down.
Yeah.
So I love to read about history and that kind of stuff, especially this. This ought to be fascinating.
Yes, it is fascinating. Here's another one for you.
Okay.
Can you read that?
Let me go back to my comments here and down to the bottom.
Mr. Dunham. Thank you very much for your question, Mr. Dunham. Do you want to read it for you?
Okay. Don't they have bank bail insurance now where they can avoid giving you your money? Maybe that's a U.S. thing.
No, the bail-in laws and the bailout laws applies to both.
Where they can
We've been through that,
avoid
remember,
giving you
in our
your
previous
money.
shows.
Yes. But the idea behind any bailout system, a bail-in or bailout, was to protect the depositors. Okay, that's always the reason for bailouts, for insurance, banking insurance, and that.
But it's also bailing to do with the banking as well. Remember the banks, because It's a
Yeah.
certain deposit. I think it was about 250 grand. Is that right? That you're protected to, and then after
That
that,
you're
you're
protected. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
FDIC, and you're not.
That's
So,
right.
I mean,
That's right.
That's a
So you're the
widely
ba-
known rule. Yeah.
Yes.
So just
Yeah, we did
if
speak
you-
about it in the show. Which show did we speak about? It was not. Oh, was it a month
Oh,
ago?
I
or
got
so?
it. No, you were talking about
Just so we
the-
can point Mr. Dunham to the right direction, he can go and watch it.
right. Yeah, so he can go and watch it. Let
Yeah,
me pull this up. I think. Yeah, wasn't that one? It was the one before. Hold on, just a second.
And it's
Okay.
on YouTube and Rumble.
Episode- Yeah, it was the Real Nesara show. It's called How It Works. I think we covered mortgage stuff. I know I have some of the bail-in slides there, and I think there was another one that we did too.
Wasn't that long ago? From my memory.
No, it wasn't. And but I know that was one of them.
I got it. Banks versus Nesara. That's the one. It's in
Banks
there.
versus-
See, I got the slides.
Banks.
Yeah,
Okay.
Banks versus Nesara. That's the show that we did.
I have Why Banks Fail. I have
That's the
Trump
one.
versus-
That's the one.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've got it under Banks
And-
versus Nesara.
Okay. That's what I say. I don't think that's the right one.
Yeah.
Yes. So that was where we talked about bail-in for banks. Okay. Bail-in is a mechanism whereby a failing bank is recapitalized or its losses absorbed by its creditors, shareholders, and bondholders, sometimes large depositors, rather than by the taxpayers. So there you go. The shareholders of the bank, they're responsible for the operation. You get to vote on your board, and so those people are responsible for the operation of that bank. They should be checking their fiscal reports, right? And bondholders, and sometimes large depositors, which gets you back to the above 250,000, rather than the taxpayers.
Amanu's got a link there if you wanted to look at that one in our, when you're doing your investigation.
Okay. All right.
We'll grab that one. Amanu, just give us a quick moment. I think he's in. Oh, here it is. He's got it in Rumble, so I'll see if I can snare it for you.
Yeah, see if you can make copy that and shoot it to me. So,
thanks, Amanu. Thank you very much for that. So we can just see what's going on.
Okay.
The more information we got, the better. And then I'll put it in our. We've got it. Oh no, not there. I'll put it in our private chat there, D. There we go.
Okay,
That way
perfect.
we got it.
Yeah,
There
and
we
I'll
go.
be able
It's there.
to
Yep, perfect.
look it up.
Rightio.
Okay, great.
Awesome. Anyone else?
Got questions?
Anyone else, guys? Pop in a question. Put a Q in front. Is this one here? Did you speak about the Japan dropping all the debts? Did you speak about that one?
I was trying to look that up really quick while you were talking.
This
and
one
I
here.
was like, what the question was, hang on. Japan dropping all of their debts. Read it to me, because when you put it up, I can't.
Okay. Isn't Japan dropping? It's a question, right? From Jack. Thank you very much, Jack Stevenson. Isn't Japan dropping all their debts by dumping all the USA bonds? That's the first part. And he says, doesn't this cause a domino effect to the global banking industry?
Okay. Well, since I don't deal with other countries very much, I looked it up. And so what I found just on the surface here, yes, Japan has been selling U.S. debt primarily to support the weakening yen and take advantage of higher domestic bond yields at a trend that has been happening for a few years, with major institutional investors like pension funds reducing exposure, potentially causing U.S. bond market volatility and high interest rates as demand shifts back to Japanese government bonds. Okay, so that is a good question and something good to look into.
Something came up on the stage there, D. You better remove it.
Oh, okay. What is it?
D, you better bring your camera back. What you did there. You're talking and all of a sudden we see that little screen with a camera but no D in it. Okay?
Okay, hold on just a
Just
second.
an audio. No, don't worry, she got a new camera and she's getting used to that as well.
I am. So,
All the bells. You got a really good one too. Bells and whistles and stuff.
okay, so the camera should be back up. No.
It's not yet. No, we haven't. No, D's got to. Yeah, no, you got to get your camera back on, D.
I'm working on it.
Oh, okay. So
Get me
yeah,
to-
what I'm going to do is I'm going to snare that little question and look at it a little bit further on. What do you reckon, D, about the Japan
Okay.
dropping all this? I think it's an interesting thing to have a look at. What do you think?
Right. I think so too.
Oh, did you?
Okay, let me do-
Yeah. Then we've got, what else we got here? Oh, you answered the one with Avonflower?
I don't know. I'm working on my camera right now. So
Okay. I'm just trying to read this, guys, which is from Avonflower. So when we change, let me just have a look at this one. So when we change here, is Canada, oh, that's the colored money one. We went through that one. We did. About the colored money business. Okay. Anyone else got any questions? Don't hesitate to put a Q in front. In the meantime, please give us a thumbs up, great comments, and let's share this information far and wide so everyone knows the truth, because it's all about the truth, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we do what we do on the Real Nesara show, is to bring out the real truth about Harvey F. Barnard's work. Because remember, what are we contending with? We're contending with all the lies and deceptions out there. And what we're trying to do is give the real solutions. This is real people, real solutions. It's not the fictitious claims of that comes from Sinead Goodwin, the dove of oneness. It doesn't, this is all the real deal, as we say. Draining the swamp is the creation of Harvey F. Barnard. Dr. Harvey F. Barnard. DIONESE, who's here, that's her father. If you go on the Q drops, ladies and gentlemen, you will find that. That's mirrored in the Q drops. And you got President Trump speaking about it as well. You don't have him speaking about any other the fiction, but you got him speaking about draining the swamp, because literally, how can we move forward, ladies and gentlemen? Just think about this. How can you move forward in a system that's currently corrupted? This system is based on debt slavery. Okay, it's designed to keep us, shall we say, in a state of, shall we say, poorness, lack of abundance. That's what it's designed to do, to keep us in a class system. Harvey F. Barnard's work is to create an even playing field for all, just like what President Trump is doing. He's creating an even playing field for everybody. And that's why DIONESE is coming out here and she's showing you Harvey's work. I mean, reading the book is very important, but to comprehend its contents is another thing. That's why we are blessed and grateful to have DIONESE here as part of the Freedom Channel broadcast network, part of us here, okay, and explaining this, breaking this all down. It's very important that we do pay attention to DIONESE when she does these presentations. A lot of hard work and effort goes behind the scenes, and she spends a lot of time preparing these slides and then relating it to Dr. Harvey F. Barnard, her father's work, and then creating the contrast between the current system and the real Nesara, real solutions. And the only way we're going to get this message out is grassroots. We all need to do our bit. We all need to share this far and wide. Everyone needs to know the truth. The truth has been hidden. It's been suppressed for way too long. And I'm talking about, I'm just giving you the spill there about.
I could hear every word. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear every
Okay.
word.
I
I'm sorry,
had
I
to
can hear
swap
my word. Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm just wanting people to get it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. Hang on.
You're going to probably need to boost up your microphone a bit there.
Okay. Technical difficulty.
That's awesome. That's awesome. we'll sort it out afterwards. Okay, so you get what I mean. It's grassroots. We all need to do our bit. We all need to get the message out there.
Exactly. And it's it's important because they're not going to do it for us, right? They're not going to do it for us. And I'm going to see if I can't fix this a little bit here, guys. Bear with me. Okay. That's a
no,
little
you're doing
bit
great.
better.
No,
Okay.
well done.
Under pressure.
No, all good. I got you back.
It's grassroots. Exactly. They're not going to do it for us, and we have to let them know that this is what we want. That was Harvey's whole thrust of writing this. He wanted to show people that there's a better way, and that it is achievable, and that it's fair. And again, I invite you to go back over the shows and please watch them. And as you do that, if you have any questions, please, let me know and I'll answer them for you. And more importantly, read the book. It is just, it's fascinating, and everything is in here. All of his research, all of his references. He's got a copy of the Constitution in here. So it's a great work, and it's part of our history now.
Now we've got a question here, Dee. You want to read that one?
Okay. Do you think these Dinar, Dong, Zim will adopt a new currency or start using the United States dollar as an example? I don't know. That's a question, that's the only their country that can answer. The U.S. dollar has been the go-to dollar for the backing for the world for quite a while.
Being the world, basically the benchmark.
Yeah, exactly. For a long time. And so only time will tell what will happen.
Now, obviously, this is related ding dong Zimbabwe. We spoke about that yesterday.
Right.
Please watch the previous show that Dee and I did yesterday. It was a real eye opener, wasn't it, Dee? Based on facts and some receipts.
It was, yeah.
Yes.
I enjoyed being a part of that, and it was very good, very good.
Yes. So we advise now 77X Wild 52. It's on YouTube. It's on there. So it was the show that we did yesterday. It's on there. It's about the RV reevaluation currency scam. Please watch it.
Yeah. All right.
Awesome.
So I enjoyed this, and if we got any more questions, I'll take those. And we're moving into the holiday season. Excuse me. So I will be taking a break for a little while. I will be coming back to do the Real Nesara show after the first of the year. However, FCB has graciously invited me to come and jump in and join him on a few of his broadcasts. So I'm really looking forward to that. Yes.
Look, that'll be great.
Yeah.
And look, I got guys, please watch the previous show. Like, there's a lot of great content. And not only that previous show, watch all our shows. Okay? There's so much content on there that covers everything that we've discussed and then some. Because obviously, look, there's questions that people will put in later, and then it's like the show's finished. Go and look. Yeah. It's all there.
The whole book, chapter by chapter. That was the reason we started this. We went chapter by chapter and discussed all of the concepts, the philosophies, the history, where Harvey obtained his research and how he arrived at the decisions that he made and how he proved his case. Again, you can go to our website and you can get information that you can actually go to the blog and print that stuff out if you want to share it with people. Also, my Facebook page, I post stuff all the time, like all the little videos you saw tonight. I'll be posting those, and I have information on my Facebook page all the time. And again, I answer my comments there too. So,
look, as I said, guys, there's a lot of questions in the chat. Please watch our previous show. The answers are there.
Well, let's see if I
can
answer you. Okay,
because we got these same questions going over and over from previous show. US dollar will become XRP globally backed by gold. Where's your proof? I've explained this over and over again. We have shown you the facts and some receipts that that's not the case. Currently, XRP is not backed by gold. It's not a pegging, shall we say, it doesn't have a pegging facility, right? Like Tether does, right? It's not stable coin, okay? It doesn't work that way, right? And this is the thing, Jack. Please go and watch our previous shows. It keeps going on about the pseudo Nesara GERBRECHT business.
Oh, okay. Well, we've
Yes.
disproven all of that. In fact, I didn't
Yes.
show that. I showed the timeline on
You did.
last night's show, but I can run through that quick. It doesn't
Sure,
take
go
very
for it,
long.
yes.
Let me just
Because
jump
Jack
over-
Stevenson obviously he didn't listen to our previous shows.
That's okay. Well, he may.
And I get it. Look, you're probably catching us for the first time. Thank you.
Yeah.
But go and watch our previous shows where everything is explained. Okay.
Yeah.
I've explained it on the Kraken. I've watched the Kraken 6 series. Everything is explained. That's based on the Nesara GERBRECHT scam. The
Yeah.
pseudo Nesara GERBRECHT. That's what it is. It's fake, right? This is the real Nesara. That's what we call it. The real Nesara show.
The realness there.
The
That
real
is
solutions.
right. Yeah.
Okay. Now, like I say, ladies and gentlemen, what I got to do is focus on the world stage. People want me to focus here and focus there. I focus on the world stage. What is the game changer? Okay, go for it, Don. Keep going. Yeah.
All right. So this is, and I'll tie my story into this as it becomes relevant. All the way back in the 90s and 98, Roy Swashinger, he was the one that had the farms claim program, and that really kind of started the pseudo Nesara. It was some of the basis, but Harvey went up with his bill to Congress in late 80s, early 90s. So I'm saying around 1990. Then after that, at about the year 2000, Harvey was out there talking to people and doing interviews and that kind of stuff, trying to get people to listen. You know, the 2000s, the economy wasn't that bad, and people could not see what was coming like he could. Lady stepped onto the stage, Shanae Goodwin, and she claimed that Nesara was passed in a secret bill, or it was passed in secret. 15 members of Congress forced at gunpoint. Clinton signed Nesara secretly. Gag orders issued. Dove's mass email newsletters, and this as she launched the first pseudo Nesara myth. This is where everything came from. Okay, she continued to do this even beyond my father's death. 2001, they added to the myth with Alan Greenspan. The WTC and Pentagon hit to destroy Nesara, computers, and white knights. All of this stuff, as it grows, it's like a fish story. I caught a fish this big, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And this became one of the core enduring myths of the pseudo Nesara. And it continues on with her. And in 2003, Miss Nancy Detweiler jumps in the game, and she provides spiritual framing that makes the myth appealing to millions. Okay. And along this span between 2002 and 2005, things were added in. Galactic Federation involvement. Nesara must occur before ascension. Secret program funds for light workers. Prosperity programs. Ms. Detweiler had the pathway to ascension. That was her method of communication. And she hung in there, I guess, until 2012. But she is the reason that the pseudo Nesara enters mainstream political conspiracy culture. Okay, now all of this time, my father passed away in 2005, and he died of natural causes right here in a local hospital. He did not know the Clintons. He was not a CIA agent, and he had nothing to do with the Bushes. That has been disproven by us with facts, evidence, and receipts. In fact, we can, I don't know if FC, if you've got the copy of it handy, but the American Free Press discussed this back in 2005. There's a chapter in here in the book that he wrote, what was known at the time, Mr.
Look for that one.
John Tiffany. It was that newspaper article. John Tiffany, who was the editor of the American Free Press at the time, also contributed to the book before Harvey died and corroborated that information. Now we move on. After my father died, my mother and I just packed up his stuff and went on with our lives.
This one here, you're talking about, I got it.
Got it? Okay.
You're talking about this one. Let me just remove that one real quickly. Is this one here?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you want to blow that up where they can see it?
Yeah,
real
sure.
Quick? Okay. Blow it. Okay, so this is by Mr. John Tiffany from the American Free Press. Amazing how I came across this article. But at the top right-hand side, you'll see the published date was January 17th, 2005. In here, Mr. Tiffany talks about very, pseudo Nesara, scam artists often latch onto something that sounds good to relieve people of money. For example, scammers, that's where he talks about the psychology of scams. He actually remember, if you believe someone calling herself Dove of Oneness, or more often just Dove, a pseudonym of course, or Oliver, two of the shadowy figures involved with Nesara. That's their pseudo Nesara, not
right.
the original National Economic
That's right.
Stabilization Recovery
Not
Act.
this.
They actually
What
changed
President
the
Trump
name
calls
of it.
draining the swamp for a reason.
Right. Yeah. And so they changed the name of the bill. They call it the National Economic Security and Reformation Act. That's not Harvey's original bill. He goes on to say, let me go down just a little bit where I was reading this. The figures involved with Nesara, the exact text of the proposal is actually secret, thanks to Supreme Court Oliver attributes Dove to this bizarre statement. By order of the Supremes, never could figure out who that was. She meant the Supreme Court, I assume. The full text of Nesara cannot be published till announcement. By order of the Supremes, the docket numbers and congressional bill numbers were removed and held in secret to be revealed only after Nesara's announcement.
You know, she could mean the Supremes. The supreme beings, like good old Saint Germain from the ethereal plane. You know what I mean?
Anything. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
This started in 2000 when she hit the scene, and when my father passed away in 2005, and there was nobody there to pick up and try to fight this. As when we had my mother on the stage. I'm sorry, I'm getting kind of a little riled up here. But when we had my mom on the show, she gave a testimony. I mean, she lived through this. They did not have the money to kind of fight this, and Miss Goodwin was obviously well backed. We'll just leave it at that. This thing began to spread, across the country. Then you're going to come in here to 209 to 219. We have Mr. Steve Beckham enter the picture, and he did publishing on Nesara and Ascension. His platform was the 2012scenario.com. His contribution and impact was Nesara becomes linked to 2012 Ascension hype. Okay, moving forward. 2015 to 2017, the global Nesara goes to GERBRECHT. Okay, this is where they took their ditto sheet, which was not a bill, it was a wish list, some items which were derived from Harvey's bill. They added on all kinds of stuff and made it appealing to other countries and added the acronym GERBRECHT. Okay,
yes, the
and this
global grift.
Right. It became a global grift. And then they begin to push it out on all of these platforms. 18, it gets even, wider. The claims begin that Trump was cooperating with the QFS, Global Currency Reset. This went out on QAnon forum platforms and 8chan and Telegram, all that kind of stuff. 2020, COVID-19 lockdowns create a new wave of GERBRECHT content. This is, Trump to implement Nesara, the World Bank secretly switching to gold, XRP, XLM. That's what you were just speaking of, FC. Bitcoin tied to GERBRECHT platforms on TikTok, YouTube, Telegram. And this brings, continues just on and on. 21 to 23, tens of millions of people see the pseudo Nesara for the first time. Okay.
Yeah.
And then brings us right on up till today. And as this came out, then you have a lot of people who have channels, have video, truthers, whatever you want to call them, that have jumped on this bandwagon and continue to perpetuate this. When in actuality, what really happened was it's 2025. So it would have been about 3 years ago. My husband came to me and he held up his phone and he said, "Is this your father's book?" And he had a picture of the hard copies, which looked like
get you to show you that.
Yeah, this was the hard copies that Harvey sold in 2005. Okay, and he said, "Is this your?" Had a picture of it. I said, "Is this your dad's book?" And I said, "Yes, it is." And he said, "Well, they're selling them for eBay for $800." I said, "Well, that's crazy." And he said, "Is there any more of these books?" And I said, I don't know. Wait, let me see. And so reluctantly, I agreed to sell them, some of them on eBay, but not for $800. That's not what my father wanted. And excuse me while I adjust this. If it makes a sound, I apologize. That's not what I wanted. It's not what he wanted. But they are the last of their kind. I will never publish another hardback cover. I am his only daughter. I am the heir to everything that he has, as little as that is. This is what he left me, you know. And I raised enough money to be able to put it on paperback, which is now available on Amazon and on Kindle. Now, I thought, okay, when we sold the hard copies on eBay, we sold them around the world. FC people remembered who he was. They knew the legitimacy of his work. And I was very encouraged. And so when I did put it in the paperback, I thought, oh, well, this is great. We'll be able to share it. And little did I know this was waiting for me. All of this pseudo Nesara stuff and all of this stuff blown out of proportion. And when I discovered the lies and the things that they had said about my father, then I said, no, I'm jumping in with both feet.
Are you ready to tackle some? Are you ready to tackle something? Because I am.
Okay, let's see, what can we tackle today?
Rightio. Mr. Jack Stevenson keeps putting little comments. Okay, so I'm about straightening out the facts, right? Like you are, D. Okay, and as long as we can have a civil conversation, there's room for scope, right? To grow. So you got this little business. Nesara Jasara will be inevitable. So we got this. You got to comprehend, Jack Stevenson, that you're speaking to the daughter of the real creator of the real Nesara, the National Economic and Stabilization and what Act? Recovery Act, isn't it?
That's
there
right.
you go. Stabilization. What stabilizes something? Gold, silver, biometallic. That comes from Harvey F. Barnard. All of that.
That's
okay.
right.
What you've been told is all pseudo Nesara.
Yes.
Okay, that's the thing. And it goes back to that map. You know what, there? I should bring up that map just so we can straighten the record. What do you think?
If you want to, that's fine. That's fine.
I want to get this all straightened because I think it deserves to be, obviously, look, Jack might be new.
Yes,
okay?
Jack. And we want you to understand.
Yeah, we want you to get it.
Yeah.
Okay? Sorry, I'm just going to have to get that gone. This is the new financial system, which I explained yesterday, and I've gone through it in the Kraken in great extensive detail, may I add, right? Right at the top there, do you see this? How it's all connected to this and all that. Well, whatever's in red is all fake, right?
Right.
That has been established with facts, evidence, and receipts. And if you haven't seen the Kraken 6, the entire series, if you haven't seen our previous shows, if you haven't seen the show that we did yesterday, I suggest you do watch them. Yeah. So then you can get yourself up to date with the current, what is current and what is true. Okay? Not and it's all based on facts, evidence, and receipts, not the thin air, the hot air that you've been, shown by these others that have got nothing that comes from the dove of oneness, and we've proven that over and over again, right? And you shown, also you were just shown that whole thing of what Dee just brought up, okay, that the timeline of how it all came to be, right? Now, Nesara Jasara will be inevitable with crypto XRP. Have a look at this. So this is what he's talking about here, Dee.
Okay.
Right? Now, XRP is not ISO 222 compliant. Do you see that? It's not compliant. However, the token is not compliant, but the RippleNet supports ISO 222. It's a messaging system, right? A compatible messaging system that they use, that they transmit data, financial data, isn't it right, D? It's a standard, right? Called ISO 222. And I explained that in great detail on the previous show. I suggest you do watch it. Yeah. So the token itself is not inherently ISO 222 compliant. It is not backed by gold. the token is not backed by gold. Right?
Mhm.
That is being proven. I recommend, if you do not believe all the facts and receipts, why don't you contact Ripple and ask them yourself?
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, you can
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly
so,
that.
yeah, and Jack may be new to all of this, and so
Yes.
welcome your questions, and we'll help you understand the best we can. The timeline that I gave, that has all been researched, and we have backed it up again. I am the original author's daughter, and I can tell
Correct.
you the things that they have claimed are not correct. So,
Correct.
I know.
Now, please, Jack, go and watch all the stuff. We've shown you all the facts and receipts on those shows. Catch up on it. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, there's another one here. Where is it? I have the, okay. I don't know how you say that. Is it Livy 205?
Okay, let me see.
I
if
have
can
two
find it.
books on Nesara and Nesara 2. I mean, can you please explain to me what books they are? I mean, we would like to know.
Oh yeah, there's several. Some people have written books about Nesara, and
But not your father's
No.
Nesara. That's
not that-
that's what
not
we
that
got to
I
get it
know
right,
of.
D.
yeah.
Yes.
If someone has written a book based on the National Economic Stabilization Recovery Act, I would love to know about it. So, yeah, if you could send that information, that would be great.
Awesome. Now, he keeps going on about this. This is not a conspiracy. That is deep state label put on. It
Yeah, that was
causes,
he had that up there before I started talking.
okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Have you addressed that business?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's what I was saying. I went through the
Yeah.
timeline to address
Okay.
that. So, mhm.
Trump is implementing Nesara. The only Nesara he'll be implementing is Harvey F. Barnard's because he's the original creator. And we
And
can
he may
already
be.
see it through the tapestry that he's putting out there. You know?
We have a show on the alignments. Now, once again,
Yes.
this bill has not been introduced in Congress, voted on by Congress, passed by Congress, and therefore it has to go through the process. That's the constitutional process for something to become a law and enacted. That has not happened. Okay, all of this stuff behind closed doors and all that kind of stuff. That's what they use to continue to kick the can. If you will, we've talked
Mhm.
about it many times. They keep saying, okay, well, it's going to be this date, and that date comes and goes, and it doesn't happen. It's going to be this date, and that can go to, and it just keeps on and on and on, right? Because they can't provide any information. Like I said,
Yeah.
Harvey went up there, talked to Congress people, tried to get them to see the merits of his bill, which I believe that they saw the merits. I don't think that they did not understand. They understand all too clearly that it would completely undo or redo our monetary and fiscal system here in America, thereby taking away the power of the big banks and
Mhm.
taking away the power of the Fed and giving a fair taxation system to the people. That was not something they were interested in at the time.
I just want to. We said that Harvey F. Barnard is the creator.
Yeah, Trump's
Of
not the
Nesara.
creator. Mm-mm.
We didn't say Trump is the creator. Let's just make
No.
that very clear.
Oh yeah, no. President Trump did not write this
No.
book or
He-
write the bill. Yeah.
He says draining the swamp, which is in the Q drops, which is on his X, which means it's indicative that he has read this book.
He may have. He may have.
That's right.
So
So let's just clear that one up.
he is basically going to use Harvey's. Oh, okay. I see. That's what Jack's saying.
Oh, okay, okay. So they're having a
Yeah,
little bit
they're,
of a.
they're talking
okay.
to each other.
Okay, they're talking to each other. All right, let's
They're
just
not
let's not get
doctor.
confused. Then Jack's saying I agree with his chart.
this
No,
chart.
don't agree
Okay.
with that chart. That chart is
No.
a piece of trash. You know what I
he
mean?
said, no, wait. He said agreeing. I agree with this chart. So
Yeah.
I
In what
think he-
way does he mean that he agrees with what is on there
Uh,
is factual, or it isn't factual? That's
Yeah.
That's what I would like to put out
Oh,
there.
okay. I see what you're saying. Well,
Yes.
and like I said, Jack, I welcome you to please go to the website and read everything. You can go to the Facebook page, get more information. And I hope that you will do that. So
Now, Bill, on Mark Z's show on Friday, here we know I've exposed Mark Z. the other day, remember?
I don't think
With Charlie Ward,
Oh,
Mr.
yeah, that's
C.
right. Yes.
Okay. Please watch the previous show. You were there, Bill. You saw it anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. He's saying all these things. Well, where's his facts, evidence, and receipts? Why doesn't he come on this show and explain it to the people? Okay.
Right.
Because he's got nothing to prove. All he can say is talk. Because I've heard Mark said, talk. The 10,001 excuse book that rolls on and on, the kicking the can up the road from Mark Zed's book continues on to this very day. And so do the others. Now, he says, what he says here, he's supposed to be in person putting in codes for the reset and all the balances to put to zero. Do you know anything? No, we don't follow his garbage.
No, I don't. I don't follow
No.
that.
No, it's an insult to our intelligence, to be quite honest. And we got better things to do, haven't we, Dee?
Yes, I do. And like I said, I want people to get the truth and know the truth, and then they can make their own decisions.
Exactly.
And we've done one episode. It wasn't the first one we did about myths versus facts, but it was one of the later episodes where I actually gave a step-by-step identification sheet, how you can tell if it's a grift or not, and there were certain things that you could do. So, look
now,
at that.
Jack's on the roll now. Do you want to answer that question?
I will answer. I will try to answer one more.
And if we don't, Jack, we'll have to get back to you, all right?
Okay.
We don't sit there and manufacture stuff like the
Genius
others
Act,
do.
Clarity Act, what do you think this is for? Oh, okay. Oh, the Genius Act and the Clarity Act. There are, we talked about some of those the bills in the episode Trump versus Nesara. There are several bills up there that are align with this. Okay, we talked about that. One of them was the bill to remove the Fed, or to move the Fed to the Treasury. That one's already sitting up there. Then there is the HR 25 that has to do with the taxation. I haven't seen any bills on banking or on returning us to a gold standard. But there again, those kind of
there's
things.
a bill going to the gold standard. It's in there.
The Genius Act had to do with the digital.
I have seen. I've got the act if you want to see it.
Okay, yeah, let's.
Okay.
Genius Act is passed. Yeah, I know it. They passed the Genius Act. Yeah.
I've got the end of the Fed that's been put in by Macy. The gold standard bill, which is 118 HR. I think it is HR. Oh, sorry. Okay. I've got it right here. Just give me a second.
HR 25.
HR 2435. Right here, I got it here.
Pull it up on your screen here.
It was done by Mr. Mooney.
Oh, that's about the purchasing power. Okay, I can probably.
It's got to do with the Gold Standard Restoration Act.
Okay, all right, yeah. So see there you go. There's all these little things in place, but they're not all in one bill. So that's what I was saying. There are a lot of things that Trump is doing that identify with what Harvey laid out 30 years ago. Okay, I think the Genius Act had to do with digital currency.
Yep. Now, another thing is the double one is, what she say, help popularize. No, she helped basically discredit Harvey Bernard's work. That's what she did. And I'm telling you, it was done by design.
Yeah.
Because
she popularized the wrong information. She took it and turned it into a sideshow circus with no bill. And instead of, if she wanted to help popularize it, then she should have been able to present actual documents like in the book and say, this is what the bill does. This is what it says, all this kind of stuff. But she didn't do that. She said it was secret and no one could see it. And there was a non-disclosure agreement, and that's why they couldn't tell you about it, and all kinds of stuff.
Now another thing is, because of that popularization, someone actually lost their home.
That's right.
That's real. That's right there. You're seeing it's real from Canada, ladies and gentlemen. Right? She claimed that her mortgage debt was forgiven because of the non-existent law on Nesara. And you know what she rocked up with, Dee? You know what she rocked up with? That double oneness, that list that she created. All right. Now you think about this. you go there to the Supreme Court and you talk about that, no, my mortgage and my debts are forgiven because of Nesara. Because they've gone to the provisor of this thing that was created, the pseudo Nesara. That person lost their home. Let that sink in. Okay?
Yeah.
Because that's the repercussions of these entities that push these lies. Okay? She lost her home.
Oh, yeah.
She was ridiculed, okay, publicly. Have a think about that one.
Yeah.
Real, shall we say, problems.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, and as far as the IRS, the HR 25 is does state to abolish the IRS and replace it with a national sales tax. I went into that in depth on was it last week's show maybe, or the week before? But there are difference in the percentages. There are difference in what is exempt. HR 25 wants to put a 30% tax on everything. And eliminate income tax, payroll taxes. In fact, I have the slide on that. Let me pull that up real quick. So
that's okay. Thank you very much. She said thank you for the insight. No, I appreciate it. Look, we need to show facts and some receipts. Look, we always do. And I showed, was it Slim Salam said about popularizing, and I showed that example. I want people to get it, guys.
Yeah,
we care about people. We're here because we care.
Right. I want to show, I know I pulled it out separately because I thought we might have this question. So let me go right over here and get the paycheck thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Because when you start talking about, you want to get into the income tax. Surely I did. Here we go. Okay. So let me, I'm going to throw this up on the screen real quick and show people the difference. Clear your screen and I'll do this.
Look, people can make as many statements as they want. Okay, you got to be very careful of your statements because people can take it upon themselves to take it, and then anything happens, they're going to be blaming you for it. You're not us.
That's right. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, we don't give financial advice and we don't tell you what to invest in or what to buy.
That's why I say to people that make those kind of statements in the chat, be careful because you're going to be held responsible, not us.
Right. So I'm reading about the crypto. Switching to crypto that is transparent, documented, and hackable. Manipulator still when Trump switches to crypto takes away the power from the deep state that controls all the banks. I'm not a fan of crypto, and most people I talk to are not a fan of crypto. It's digital currency, which is one closer step. Digital IDs, digital currency, tokenization of assets, and you lose all of your power and all of your choice. So you lose all when you start digitizing your assets and tokenizing your actual major possessions. That's one step away of we'll program the algorithm to be able to tell you what you can and cannot buy. It's not good. Anyway, so if anybody,
I'm getting a bit agitated, to be quite honest, with somebody in the chat, and they just continue making statements. Now, I'm going to give you this warning. People are listening to a presentation here. We don't want you to come here and give all these things that are based on thin air. At this current moment, as we said, XRP is not backed by gold. Go and contact XRP, Ripple, and they will tell you, okay? As an investigative journalist, I've done my work, and I've been able to verify this over and over again. Now, what is it going to take? An interview with somebody at XRP? I could do that, Dee.
Yeah.
As an investigative journalist, I've got my press passes, I've got the rights to go and interview somebody. Now, even if I interview even the creator, they're going to still say, no, he's part of the deep state. He's not going to give you, he signed an NDA. He's not going to tell you the truth. Do you see how it all works?
Right, exactly.
So no matter what we say, no matter what we do, no matter how many facsimile receipts are produced, you can't help people like that.
No. If they want to believe that, that's their choice. And I'm not telling you not to. If that's where
If
you
that's
want to
their
go,
choice,
that's where you want to put your money
fine.
in.
But don't
Not
come in
to
here
tell
and make those kind of claims and then people take it as testament because we're not the ones putting it out there.
Right.
Let me just make that very clear.
Good. Okay. There was a question. I don't know who asked the question or who made the statement about the income tax. But we did this on a couple of shows, and it's really important to people, and they like to see this, so they can know apples for apples type thing. Okay. So
Sorry, I'm going to ban this person. No, sorry. Enough's enough,
ahead.
D. Yeah.
Okay, that's
no,
it.
no.
Go right
That's
ahead.
it. Enough of that. They were warned.
Very much so. I don't have time.
I can't even warn them anymore. Honestly, I tried to be polite. You've heard how many times I've been polite,
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have time for that. So
No, neither do
and
I.
neither do the rest of our viewers. This is their time too, and so
That's right.
they deserve to get real information, not sit here and listen to us banter with him.
Exactly.
So, in case you missed the tax explanation between what the real Nesara would offer, should it be passed, what HR 25 would offer, should it be passed, and what the current system is, this is how it breaks down. I ran this, I believe, on a married with 2 children. I believe that was the deduction number I used. And this would be like one person, they made $2,500 every paycheck. So one of the household members. Okay. So, currently you've got your gross 2,500, your federal income tax, state income tax, Social Security, Medicare, your total deductions is 2,108.75. Okay. Under Nesara, Harvey removed the income tax. That's what he's replacing with the sales tax. Okay. He left in of course, your state, that's, between you and the state that you live in, Social Security and Medicare taxes. And so he left those in, and then your total deduction. So you come out with 22, 21, 25.
Right.
Under the HR 25, they want to get rid of federal income tax and Social Security and Medicare. And so on the surface, this looks really good. Oh, wow. Well, we would go for that because I'd get $200 more, and $300 more than I'm getting now. Seems like a good deal. Not so. The HR 25 imposes a 30% national sales tax on everything for everybody. Okay. In other words, even lower income people. Now, if you make $36,000 or less, they're going to give you a kickback of your 30%. So they'll give you, you would get that back from the government, but that's only for that group of people. Middle income people, you're still stuck paying 30%. Okay. Nesara imposes a 14% national sales tax with many exemptions. There's no tax on food. There's no tax on medicine. There's no tax on rent. A lot of the raw materials used to manufacture goods are not taxed. This all plays into the system of having lower prices on retail items and also benefits people who save. It incentivizes companies to stay here, not just come here while, President Trump is here, but come here to stay here long term. Again, how the pendulum swings, we have a good, strong leader in our office like we do now, and here they come. If that changes, then they'll go back to wherever they get the sweetest deal. This locks them in because it's a permanent incentive. So that there's your difference. So the reason I like to point this out is because you got to read the fine print, Hello?
So the devil's in the devil's in the details.
The devil's
I said.
in the details. Yeah.
Yeah.
I said, I didn't hear anybody there.
No, because I muted it.
Okay. All right.
Now we had another question. Okay, and look, with all respect, okay, you want to answer that one?
Okay. Let me see if I can find it here so I can see it. Okay. With all respect and thank you, if fiat can be changed to asset-backed, why wouldn't the same apply to crypto? Crypto,
Stable coin backs can be tied into pegged into a gold asset, no problem.
Yeah.
That's all proven. That's all factual. It can be tethered.
It
Okay,
can be.
so that's crypto, stable coin.
Yes, it could. It
Yes.
depends on now you're getting into what route do you want to go? Okay, again, we're talking about crypto. We're talking about something that's tapped into a computer. We're talking about something that I can unplug from the wall. Okay. There's a whole lot of stuff there that doesn't sit well with me. And once you start going down the cryptocurrency route, digital currency route, then you have nothing tangible. Thereby, then they control it. Once it goes into that system, you have lost the ability to truly have uh, choice with your money. They can say, I'll give you an example. We use this example in one of the shows, and it's kind of with insurance companies and tied in with digital currency. I'm a 55-year-old man, and I'm pre-diabetic. Okay. All of my health insurance is in the computer, all of my healthcare information. My money is in that computer. Now they decide, well, you know what? He's pre-diabetic. We're going to not allow his money to buy cookies or ice cream or whatever, that kind of stuff. His money is only going to be allowed to buy this kind of goods, fresh foods and vegetables, which is a good thing anyway. It's a good diet.
It's an example, yeah.
It's an example. It's control. Yes. Okay.
That's like Snap.
Right. And so I prefer not to go that route if I have a choice. And right now I can lobby for something that gives me freedom and sovereignty over my money. I don't know if that answers your question or not, but that's why I choose this. So.
Well done. Okay. Look, we've got to keep it relevant to what's being discussed here, guys. And we're talking about economics, money.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to keep it on that. Okay, thank you. So it's you think you're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, good. Oh, that answered a question.
That's what we're here for, to answer questions. But
the best I can.
As long as it's done respectfully and people get, look, we want to answer questions, but we also want the respect for people to pay attention to the presentation so they don't miss out, because other people, they depend on this information. You know what I mean? They follow the show each and every week. They bought the book, they invested money in the book, and they're well within their rights to be able to listen to the presentation. However, when you've got characters that come in here and start making statements and distracting the chat and can put people on a different path, no, that's not going to be accepted. Sorry.
Right. And I want you to choose your path, but I want you to have the opportunity to hear what I have to say and hear what we have to say and get the information without being bombarded with other stuff, There was a question here that said, would you, let me throw this one up here.
This one here?
Yes. Would I invest in precious metals? Well, sure. I think everybody should diversify their investments. If you have money to invest, which a lot of people don't, that's the reality. They don't have savings. Their situation is not allowed for that, or they live paycheck to paycheck. The system is designed to keep you that way. If you're fortunate enough to be able to invest, I think you should diversify, and precious metals is a part of that. Hope that answered your question.
No, I agree. I agree with you. This one here, when Trump says leaders in artificial intelligence, what AI means, what does that mean? I mean, they work back hand in hand, obviously. Artificial intelligence, digital technology, right? So think about this. President Trump needs to take control over artificial intelligence, because look at what's going on with China. China has the leaders, right? They've taken over it. And in order for you to be able to take control over something and to put safeguards in place, you've got to build the infrastructure. You know what I mean? Right. That's why President Trump has to be ahead of the game. Otherwise, forget about it. What has China been doing? They've been taking control of all the chips and all that. Now, that is a national security threat. It really is.
Yeah.
That's why I've explained this many times.
Yeah.
So Yes.
Well, yeah, if everything it is run, everything we need the chips, right? Because that runs all our computers and all our phones and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, he does need to get a, a handle on the AI, and it would be great if the United States was leader in that industry. Um, does that mean digital? Now, if you want to take that and stretch it into digital currency, that's the kind of connection that I'm thinking, down the road. You heard me talk about Miss Catherine Fitz, who is a big proponent against digital currency. Um, Imagine that if your currency was handled by artificial intelligence.
Well, you got to look at it from this
So I
perspective,
don't
right?
want that. And I like
Okay.
AI. I'm happy
Yes.
with that, but I don't want it telling me what to do with my money or controlling
This
my
is
money.
this is the reality we are living right now, right? AI is here. The genie is out of the bottle, right? Let's be honest, right? Just like the moment they dropped that nuclear bomb or that atomic bomb, the genie was out of the bottle. This is another situation, right? So think about this. You've got to take control over this entity or AI. Okay. Otherwise, if you leave it run rampant, forget about it. We're gone. You know what I mean? Now, AI has the capacity, and I've been seeing it, number one, in hospitals. I've seen it, D. You know, you got triage where it works out whether you see a doctor or not. Well, now you got AI. They go there to a booth and they put in AI asks you all this thing and it decides what happens. That's fact, right? That's fact. I'm going to bring that up on the show.
I'm smiling because it reminds me of a goofy movie, but go ahead.
Okay, so then talk about this. AI works very quickly. Instant. Like, or close to, when we get to the quantum computer stages, that's going to be instant, right? It's able to be able to give you a loan or not at a second. You know what I mean? That's how quick. The moment because remember, computers rely on input. Now, if it's got everything on the blockchain, it grabs it. Able to take all your information and work out whether or not you get a loan without you doing a damn thing. That's the reality we're living in. And that connected to digital IDs. Do you see where this is going?
Oh, yeah.
That's why President Trump has to take control over this beast.
I agree. Yeah. And I was smiling because over the Thanksgiving holiday, I had a family member, we were talking about this very subject, and he said, "Have you ever seen the movie Idiocracy?" And I said, "No, of course not. I don't watch movies and stuff like that." And so he brought it up and started playing it, and it's a comedy fantasy about what happens 500 years from now when people have, been dumbed down to the point that there's just the machines and them. And it was a little parody. It was funny, but that's exactly what, when you say AI is doing medical stuff, there was a scene in the movie where you walked in and they just pushed a button of what part of your head or what hurt. And all the humanity had gone out of it,
Well, think about this. These people have been training AI, right? So they've been training him to do, I've seen it, medical receptionist jobs, everything. Next thing you know, they're all out. AI's in to stay, they're taking over their jobs. That's the reality we're living in right now. Now you think about this.
At the restaurants. So.
Oh yeah, look, it's getting out there more and more. And you think about it, at the end of the day, where do we fit into this equation? That's the question I like to ask anyone to ask themselves. Where do we fit in?
Yeah, it's a good question.
That's something we need to all think about. And what I'm saying to you is all true about the AI hospital, about they go in there and triage. You know how a triage determines what help you get and what you need. That's all real.
Yeah, I haven't seen that here. Of course, like I said, the restaurants, not just sit down restaurants, but all your fast food restaurants, when you walk into, it's all AI menu driven. And I miss that. I told a funny story was that when they started using them at the drive-throughs, you used to pull up to the drive-through and you'd place your order and then you go around, pay for it and get your food. And the first one I drove up to that had an AI voice, a computer taking my order, I gave it the order and I got up to the window and I told the little guy there, I said, your AI computer blows, man. I said, I prefer to have somebody that talk to take my order. Again, removing ourselves out of existence.
And you think about it, President Trump needs to put these safeguards in place to stop that from happening, doesn't he?
Yeah. And so by him having control of the system and getting it, hopefully controllable, manageable, let me put it to you this way. It's the best chance we have.
Exactly.
I see it that way. It's the best chance that we have.
Look, there's there's a lot of, shall we say, things that you need to go into. There's financials.
Mm-hmm.
It covers so many different, shall we say, areas. Like I just mentioned to you, medical, banking. You know what I mean? It's covering all these. So it's taking up. Even AI is building houses. You know that?
Yes. Yeah. They
technology.
The robots that prefab and actually assemble and stuff like that. So
it's phenomenal. A house usually takes about, I don't know, I'm going to be generous, 8-9 months. Right?
You probably can pull it under that. I worked for a general contracting firm for a while and I built my house and I built my mom's house. That's one of my favorite things to do, as a matter of fact. I loved being in construction. But yeah, from time you break ground to the time you actually walk in. Yeah.
Correct.
I think it's fair.
This could be done in 2 days. The technology that exists is phenomenal, and I've seen it.
Yeah.
It's here. You know what I mean? And yes, it's great because it will, number one, it'll be prices of the homes will drop. So it'll be less expensive, because you think about it, what are we paying for? When you're building a home, you're paying for labor.
Right.
Right? Labor costs.
Yeah.
9 months of labor costs. So you're reducing that already. And then the material you're using is, it's basically a different type of material. It's something that they use, like these huge, I've seen them, like laser printers. What do you call these printers?
Like 3D printers.
3D printers, yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Bang. Before you know it, you got a home. This is my land. All done,
Yeah. Well, where are you working to earn the money to pay for this? Okay. It all comes back down to where, how are you going to employ people if AI is doing everything? And if you want to talk about universal income, who's paying for that? Okay.
We need to look into that, Dee. That'll be a good show to do on universal basic income.
Yeah.
Go into what Musk has been bringing out and stuff like that.
Where's that money coming from? So.
Exactly. Because I'd like to see how that economy would work. It'd be very interesting to know.
It would.
Because according to what they're saying, the universal basic income is everyone gets a set rate, okay, like a flat rate, and anyone wants to work on top of that, it's entirely up to them, so it's optional. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in other words, you'll be doing something that you want to do because you want to do it. It's not because you have to, but you want to. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's something that warrants more investigation.
Yeah, and so where are you getting the money to pay everybody a set income? And that's the real question. So
this is that's what we need to go into.
That's
deeper
what we're going to find
investigation.
out. Yeah.
Yes,
yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to do that for
Can
sure.
you put that in the to-do list? I'd like to do that.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Universal income.
I've been doing a lot of research because it really piques my interest, because we are in very unprecedented times. We're in uncharted waters, and especially with the AI, shall we say, it's a huge boom. All of a sudden, it just boom, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh,
there's even AI that are going to be doing drone delivery, so that gets rid of the delivery people, right? That's all. That's all doable. The whole thing's doable, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well,
so
go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of, let's be honest, replacement with AI. All the grunt work in warehouses. Look at Amazon and all that. All the warehouses. You got 1 or 2, 3 people operating these machines, these robots, and they do all the grunt work. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So already you're replacing hundreds of thousands of people just in one organization. Then you're replacing also, AI is replacing the programmers, the computer programmers, the system analysts, and all that as well. Because it's able to do all that. It can program itself.
Oh, it's becoming self-aware. Excuse me.
Yes, it is.
Becoming self-aware, and that's been proven for a while. But it goes back to this old adage: we're so busy doing a thing, we didn't stop to ask, should we do a thing? You know,
Well,
the technology has expanded the ability for man to say, okay, wait a minute, you know, should we have done this? Because I think that we should examine it. And while I like AI, look, I'm going to tell you, I use it for many different things, but I still don't think I want to live in a world that is completely run by AI.
what we want and what is two different things.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, we should shed ourselves of all fear. Number one, don't have any fear. The only way you're going to know what's really going on, get rid of the fear, empower yourself with knowledge, with the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's the only way we're going to get through this. So by us comprehending what is universal basic income all about, how does it all work? Where does the money come from? How does it sustain itself? All these things are very important for us to know.
Yeah.
And then use the contrast between that and Harvey's bill. I think it's very important.
Yeah.
There you
we'll do
go.
that. Yeah. We'll run that. We'll run that. So
There you go. I gave you an idea.
yeah, sure did. I like that. That'll be good for when I come back in January. So yeah,
Yes,
I
yes.
like that. So we'll have time to do some reading.
Oh, definitely. Any other questions, guys? Any other questions there in the chat?
There was one, I think that was probably up your alley, but I think we covered that already earlier. It was about the EBS, but we talked about that already. So scroll on down here. Huh? We use. Yes, I see a commenter said maybe AI will be used for good moving forward. Well, that should be our decision, shouldn't it?
Well, like anything, everything has a dual purpose. As I say, we live in a world of binary. Left, right, red, blue, on, off, good, bad, right?
Right.
So think about it. A knife can be used to cut your vegetables. It's a tool. But that same tool, you can go and kill somebody with it. So it can be used for duality purpose, good or evil.
Yeah.
Now, AI is here to stay. Let's get real, right?
Yeah.
The genie is out of the bottle. What we need to do now, I listened to what the godfather of AI said, right? The godfather of AI said, leave it to its own devices, forget about it. It's going to think it's an AI god and will consider us to be insignificant. What he says that we should be spending money on, not making it more smarter, but how to put safeguards in place. And he said, that's what he said, that President Trump should do. And I know that President Trump's doing it.
Yeah, I believe that he will. And that's, again, back to the original, while he needs to get it here, get control over it so that he can, safeguards can be put in.
Exactly. And this is the thing.
Agree.
That's why he said, I know he said in the, what do you call it, the big beautiful bill? Or the one big beautiful bill, whatever he calls it. That the AI provisions are nationwide. So not states, not allow the states to do their own thing. Because he said, if you get a rogue state, it's game over. That's all it takes.
So all the
one rogue
regulations.
state, and then you have an AI god over there. Forget about it. We're all screwed, right?
Exactly.
So what he's saying is that big beautiful bill, it's all controlled by the one, which is obviously the federal, right? That's what he's talking about. Now, I had another question there. Did you see it, D? For you? I think it's for you, D. From Turson. Okay. Can you see it?
Okay, from Turson.
There it is, right in front of you.
Oh, okay. Let me see if I can find it up here. Okay. How is your mom and your extended family doing? Well, thank you for asking. My mom is doing great. She will be scaling back her hours in January. So she'll only be working 1, maybe 2 days a week. So that's a blessing. And my extended family, I guess you're probably talking about the raccoons. They're doing wonderful. So that's my extended family. Yeah, we've had some really bad weather here, so they've been kind of in and out, but I'll make sure that they have food. So thank you for asking.
Okay, Greg is asking all these questions. Now, Greg, I've spoken about this many times. Okay, you obviously, I said it about the EBS and I explained
we talked about
the reasons about it. He's putting it in the chat. And I've also done a whole thing about the med beds there. We've done it before. So, Greg, you really need to watch our previous shows here on the Freedom Channel broadcast. There's a lot of information. So there's a lot of intel, a lot of information based on facts, evidence, and receipts about the med beds. Okay?
All right.
So please, yes, you're going to have to watch that.
Okay.
Anything else, Dee?
No, I'm good. And, I'm just, I'm so glad that everybody tuned in tonight, and I hope that you learned something. And about banking, like I said, don't be afraid. It's just business as usual. What we have to do is decide, is that the way we want to do business?
Yes.
So, it's a lot of questions, but there again, if you don't know how the system works, you can't make intelligent calls on how you want to fix it, and I think it is encouraging as we go forward to see what President Trump is doing. And, I'm feeling very hopeful. So I hope that y'all will be the same. Again, if you have any questions or anything, let me know. I'll share this real quick before we go again.
Yeah, sure.
Just so people can know. I'm afraid to hit any buttons because I may turn my camera off again. All right. So this is our website, nesarainstitute.com. And please go there and visit and get information on Harvey and the book. And like I said, our blog has good information that you can actually print out and pass around to people. And I want you to share this information. This is grassroots. Again, the algorithms and the powers that be do not want us talking about some of these issues or getting the truth out there. So it's up to us as individuals. And remember, digital soldiers, that's what we are. But your links are right there to buy the book. And again, it's on sale right now. I've got it 10% off for the holidays. Down at the bottom is my Facebook link. And so go there and please follow me on Facebook. I'd really appreciate it. I put out information there all the time as well. So
awesome. I think there was a great show, Dee, and we covered quite a bit of great ground and all that sort of stuff. And we've got a lot to go through. Especially the UBI. It'll be interesting to cover that. Then compare it to Harvey's bill.
Other information that I'm going to be looking at about you had brought out about the 42 trillion. That was that someone had asked about 1968 to 1978, $42 trillion. That was Australian.
Oh, yes. That's right.
All right. So I got it on my list. Okay.
Yep. So, we're going to do a lot of work in the background, guys. But I want to say thank you to all of you. I really appreciate your support, your unwavering support. Please don't forget, hit the like button, share this around the place, and let's get this message out there. It's about time that the truth gets out there. The real Nesara, the pseudo Nesaras and Gesara, and all the rest of these other fictitious things have been taken the center stage for way, way, way too long. Okay? And people need real solutions, not fiction. And that's what we're here to do, is provide the real solutions. That's what we're all about, the facts, evidence, and receipts. That's what we do. Now, also, Dee, there's a lot going on. All right? I've just been keeping up with what's going on with the news and all that. And my advice is this. Look, things are going to get more intense. Okay.
Right.
As you know, December the 19th, President Trump, the DOJ, is due to release the Epstein files, which is big.
Yeah,
right?
That is big.
Because a lot of things tie into that. Now, it's going to be very interesting in state of affairs if that doesn't come to, shall we say, to pass. Obviously, it's going to show the corruption of the DOJ and those that have been trying to continue and because that's going against the law. That was set in law.
Right.
That Epstein Transparency Act was set in law. went through Congress, it's a law. It must be complied with. If they don't comply with what that is, then they're acting against the law, right? And they're going against the executive orders of the President of the United States. So there's going to be heavy implications for that. So we're going to keep the proverbial finger on the pulse. Dee's going to join in impromptu whenever she can. So you won't know when. Okay.
That'll be a surprise, but I will definitely be joining in. So.
But what I will be doing, ladies and gentlemen, is I will be continuing with the decoding, okay, and bringing you everything based on the facts, evidence, and receipts, because realistically speaking, that is what gives us the peace of mind and the ground. It really grounds us. In other words, it's you need something solid to stand on. You know what I mean, Dee? I mean, there's too much fiction.
There is.
And garbage out there, and fear porn, and hearsay. And there's so many. Remember, every person, cat, their dog, their fish have got a microphone this day and age.
That's right. They do. That's funny.
Right?
Yeah.
They've got phones.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's got an opinion. And they also spread misinformation. So you've got disinformation, which is done deliberately by design, maliciously. Then that goes and spreads and becomes misinformation from those they think that what they're saying is testament, right? But it's not backed on anything. They go around spreading this misinformation and it goes viral. That's where the problems occur. And that's exactly what happened with Harvey's Nesara.
With Harvey's work. It went viral, and like I said, I found out how difficult it was to combat something that had been accepted as truth for 20 years, even though it was not. And it's been an uphill battle. And I thank you for that, because without you, this word would not be getting out. I certainly didn't have the reach or the capacity to do that. And so I feel truly blessed during this season to have partnered with you on this. And I'm really looking forward to doing a lot more shows together, including this. We're going to, the Sarah show's not going away. I'm coming back. I'm just taking a Christmas break, guys. I'll be back.
No, we're going to be doing so Dee and I are going to be discussing a lot of things.
Yeah.
So we're going to be looking at into the future. Now there's a question here for you.
Okay. Is the book sold in Barnes & Noble? There is an online version at Barnes & Noble, like a Kindle version. I think Barnes & Noble calls it the Nook. I only have the paperback with Amazon. That's just contract that I had to do. So as that time expires, I'll probably try to do a paperback with Barnes & Noble as well. So I hope that answers your question.
And I know there's a lot of craziness going on. I mean, there's shootings here and all that sort of thing going on.
Yeah.
My advice to everybody, don't absorb. Don't absorb anything like that. There's a lot of things that don't make sense, any logical sense. Like I said, Dee, have a look out there. Don't absorb it. Observe, but stay centered, right? Remember to look after yourself. Keeping yourself in a great headspace is very vital, because as I said, things are going to increase in intensity. I could foresee it. Everything is coming. I mean, it's all based on logic, what we're saying, Dee, about December the 19th. Right. It's all now, everything just seems to be lining up. So what we need to do is, as Dee said before, calm minds prevail. We need to be calm. We need to be collected, and we need to keep the eye on the prize.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And know what's really important. Okay.
Okay. Now, did you see this one?
No, I've turned the channel
okay.
off.
Nesara to David E. Robinson.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Those
Do you want to have a look into that, Dee?
Yeah, I've seen the books, and I don't believe I don't know if they talk about Harvey's Act or if that's the pseudo Nesara. But I will do that. Great. I'll have 3 assignments for my holiday.
Oh, look, you're going to have a lot of great assignments to do the way we're going. Okay. And we're looking into other investigations. So we haven't forgotten about those ones as well that we've got.
Yeah.
It just seems to be adding up, doesn't it, as we go along?
There's a lot of grift out there. And so we're gonna
okay.
team up and do that.
Can I give you the heads up?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just the first few lines when I typed it into the Wizard of Oz on that particular book by David E. Robinson. Have a look at this. Dee, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Because you know what I'm going to say, and you know what you're going to say when you see it. Okay.
I've seen it
Get
before.
ready for it.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. I knew that.
What is the first thing that you notice?
Right. Well, the name of the bill is wrong. And the 57 finance ministers from around the world that took place on board ship across it. Yeah. Okay. Quietly.
You know already, don't you? Just
yeah. So
the moment that you see National Economic and Security and Reformation Act, you know that you're going in the wrong direction, Mr. David E. Robinson.
Right.
Okay. And all the other fictitious claims you're making after that, you know?
Right. So
Yes.
I've seen those advertised on or advertised for sale on Amazon, and so I've read up on some of them. There are several out there. There are several.
You know when I said poisoning the waters, then the bot decided to put something in the chat.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we get that from time to time. So
Yes.
yeah.
Awesome.
Something about being hungry. Okay, guys. Well, thank y'all so much for tuning in, and I really appreciate it. And I hope that y'all have a safe and healthy holiday season. And I hope to see you back real very soon. As soon as FCB will have me join in on one of his shows one night. And I'll definitely see you after the first of the year, right back here on the Real Nesara Show.
Awesome. Thank you, Dee. Thank you very much for all your help and explaining the Real Nesara. And based on your father's amazing work, oh yeah,
Thank you.
and then hopefully next year we get to see
Hopefully we're gonna see. Yeah.
No,
Miss Jean. Oh, you want to see Jean?
Yes,
she's
yes,
coming back.
yes.
Her schedule's gonna change, and so we're definitely gonna have her back. So
yes,
we're gonna wait
and
till
we're
then.
gonna have a live,
Yes.
and then we
Have
can
a live.
ask her questions, and there's going to be very civil questions, may I add?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
You know,
yes.
I'll protect my mom with claws, but I won't need to because she'll just tell you straight up.
What is this one?
Just no problem. So
I get what you mean, FCB, but I can drive by these places after hearing it on the police scanner. That's what I said about the shootings.
oh yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, my
Yeah.
goodness. So, that's sad. So.
Okay, guys.
Hey
God
guys,
bless you
we'll
all.
see you next time. Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye bye.
I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord, and I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord, can you feel it coming in the air tonight? Oh Lord. Oh Lord, well if you told me you were drowning, I would not lend a hand. I've seen your face before, my friend, but I don't know if you know who I am. I was there and I saw what you did. I saw it with my own two eyes. So you couldn't wipe off that grin. I know where you've been. It's all been a pack of lies. And I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord. Well, I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord, I can feel it coming in the seems to grow. Some stranger to you.